What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Team 9 and XFL and USFL podcast. This week on the show, the Sea Dragons upset the Roughnecks on Thursday Night Football. Luis Perez and the Vipers get their first win against Quentin Dormandy. Yes, Quentin Dormandy. We'll get to him. And the Orlando Guardians in the Toilet Bowl 2.0. The Brahms and Renegades get ready for round two this next week. And the Defenders, man, I mean, what else can we really say? 5-0 through the first half of the season. They host the Houston Roughnecks on this week's first Monday Night Football game of the XFL. Really excited for that. My name's Ethan. Forgot about that part. John, how you doing this week, man?
I'm doing good. As you can see, we are not joined by Felix this week. He's on a plane.
He's in Hawaii. He's been in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And I've been away too, but we're going to get into that. That'll be on Off the Wall later in the show. But let's just hop into these games really quick, man, for this past weekend. Let's go all the way back to last Thursday. Houston, Seattle. Crazy game, Thursday Night Football. The Sea Dragons ended up pulling this one out, but with Ben DiNucci throwing 3 interceptions, something that, we've kind of harped on a bit. Obviously, we see John with his Ben DiNucci profile picture. We're going to get into that. DiNucci's stat line to end this game: 11 for 32, 209 yards passing, through a tutty, but with 3 picks.
17 for 32 here.
Oh, excuse me. What did I say?
11.
Oh, 17. Excuse me. 17 for 32. I was about to say 11. Damn. Yeah, you're right. That's really inaccurate. 17 for 32, 209, a tutty, and 3 picks. On the ground, he had 4 carries, 33 yards, and a touchdown. For DiNucci, it really just felt like another game of ups and downs. I'm going to get into his picks here in a minute, but it just felt like another up and down game for DiNucci. One of his interceptions, he got popped by the defender, Jordan Mosley, and Sean Davis just came in and picked it off. And he wanted a roughing the passer call. He was complaining to the ref, did not get that there. The next one, Agent A. Harris, excuse me. He's now tied for the interception lead in the XFL this year. He came in right into the end zone, made a nice play on the ball. There was definitely some defenders in the area, but it was a good play by Harris. But the next one, this is the one we need to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Up by what was it? I think it was like 15-6 at that point in the game. I think it was a 9-point game. Oh God. I think it was a 9-point game at that point. One possession either way. I think it was a 15-6 lead. And they were up on the Roughnecks, and they had the ball, and DiNucci throws this one up, and it's picked off like just a lofter, and it was just looked like there was just something wrong. And after the play, you can hear DiNucci saying, "Go, get him out the game, get out the game." And he was talking to Josh Gordon, who probably is the most talented receiver on his team. Kind of a weird play. I guess there must have been a miscommunication that Gordon was supposed to run the straight, and he ended up running like he just didn't run the straight. I don't know what the call was. John, I know you used to play quarterback. What was what's the deal there? What happened there?
It could have been a choice route, and they just weren't on the same page of which route to run.
What the choice was, yeah.
And it actually looked like Josh Gordon made the better read on the cornerback, because he just stopped. The cornerback kept going. That could be, I'm trying to remember the play here. It could be because DiNucci had already thrown the ball and the cornerback was just chasing it down. But it did look like
I think that's what it was. It was just weird. Like Gordon wasn't even like close to where the ball was thrown. Like even if he was to keep, I don't know. It just didn't look like something was just off there. Just kind of a weird reaction though. I don't know if I like that reaction by DiNucci very much. Just to have that,
I hate it,
happen. Yeah, it was not. I know we already don't like DiNucci, so that didn't really help us at all. Morgan Ellison, we didn't see a lot of him in this game. He had a fumble, which he lost, but that was really weird. The guy's been really awesome. I want to say, no, he's not. Well, he's not going to be rushing leader after what happened this week, but guy's probably up there. I'd like to see where he is officially. Let me see rushing leaders here. He's third. I mean, God, the guy he didn't even show up, and he's only third by 1 yard. Brian Hill's got him by 1 yard.
Damn.
And whatever, close. Yeah, that was just a weird thing. Just not a lot of running on either side either. If you want to see the Roughnecks, Brandon Silvers, 25 for 47, 227 yards passing. threw a touchdown, but also threw a pick. Um, just a weird game. It felt like Seattle's blitz definitely got the Silvers, but they didn't even like go to
Definitely
the
did.
runner. And when they did, they just got stopped. Like, what is Seattle doing on defense these past couple weeks that's really won them these games? Because their offense has slowed down just a little bit.
Yeah, I really don't know that much. I don't see much that they're doing, except their guys are just getting to the quarterback. And maybe they're just taking away those short routes very well, but with the cornerbacks and maybe linebackers, so that the quarterbacks can't get the ball out, so they just get there. And maybe they're not getting there quickly, but they're just getting there in general because those routes are getting taken away.
Yeah, it definitely feels like they're sending pressure. Didn't really feel like the Roughnecks receivers could get a lot of separation, and I know they all are kind of built the same of like these
Yeah.
smaller but like faster guys. It really didn't feel like they can get any separation, which is weird. But in those scenarios, you really want like a guy who can go win a jump ball, which is not something that they truly have. So that was
Mm-hmm.
kind of interesting to
That
see
is
how
true. And
Seattle
Jontre
forced
Kirkland
Silvers.
was out for this game.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
thank you for letting us know that. But I will spotlight some of the receivers on the Seattle side. Jaquar Pearson, he was the leading receiver this game.
Jacquard.
Jaquar, whatever it is.
I don't know.
Uh, he had 5 for 82, average of 16.4 on 8 targets. So that's a pretty good game from him.
Oh, yeah.
Damian Willis, he had the touchdown, 5 catches, 61 yards, average of 12.2. He had the touchdown, also on 8 targets. Josh Gordon shut down for the second week in a row.
Yeah.
2 catches, 15 yards on 7 targets. I know they've been playing some good defenses these past 2 weeks, but Gordon, I don't know. I mean, have the teams just like tried to focus on shutting him down? What's the thing that's taking him out of the game?
I think teams definitely are. I heard a lot, like just through the broadcast. I think their teams are double teaming him a lot. And
Right.
on
I
top
agree.
of that, the picks that Danucci had, one of them was to the end zone, I believe, right?
Right. They
And
had two. He had two of them in the end zone. It was the
yeah,
the one by Davis and the one by Smith as well. They had two in the
and
end zone.
one of them was to Josh Gordon on a post
Right.
route. And it was just a poorly thrown ball, so I'm wondering if just Danucci is missing him on some of these routes as well, which could definitely
Yeah.
be happening.
Yeah. I think that was the one by that was AJ Harris's
Yeah.
first, I believe. Yeah, he jumped in front of that.
He didn't even
But
jump in
yeah.
front. The ball was behind him. It was just a bad ball.
Oh yeah. Now I remember now, right? Okay. Yeah, kind of a but the nevertheless the Sea Dragons get the upset. Their
Yeah,
defense feels like it kind of won them the game for the second week in a row.
I would say so.
Um, but yeah, big upset in Seattle. The Roughnecks are now 4-1, still on top of the North Conference, North Division. Seattle kind of in the
Are they
mix
in the North?
there.
I thought they were in the South.
Oh no, South. Excuse me. God, I'm so sorry. In the South, first in the South,
Yeah, you're right.
Seattle in the mix there in the North. Let's go to a huge battle in the North.
Yeah.
The Defenders and the Battle Hawks. And how about Abram Smith, man? What a game out of him. Probably the best single game performance we've seen out of anybody this season. 23 carries, 218 yards on the ground, averaging 9.5. And he had 3 touchdowns. I mean, he single-handedly won this game for them.
Yeah, that's absolutely crazy that he's putting up those numbers. First guy to
Uh,
do it in this league, 200, I
oh
believe.
yeah, first one to hit 200 for sure. Yeah, we had Ellison who was the first to get 100, but he's
Yeah.
the first to get 200. So that was pretty crazy. Jordan Tamu passing, very pedestrian, almost
Kind of
not
sad.
pedestrian, just for the fact like that it was sad. 12 completions, 18 attempts, 12 for 18, 90 yards, average of 5. But I mean, dang, I guess whenever Smith's having that good of a game, I guess you don't need to really throw it that much.
That is
So
true. And
nothing too crazy.
yeah, I don't think you can judge him too much just because Smith was going off. I mean, what he ran it more times than Ta'amu even tried to throw it. So
That's true. That's very true.
yeah.
Yeah. I will spotlight Lucky Jackson,
Hmm.
5 catches, 54 yards, 7 targets. He seems to be like the number one there, at least emerging as the number one there. So just thought I'd point that out. On the Battlehawk side, I mean, what? It's just they couldn't stop the run game for
Yeah,
another week. It just that's what it seemed like to me.
definitely.
Playing from behind nearly the entire game.
Yeah, I mean that's
Um,
kind of what they do. So
that seems to be what they do. Yeah, we finally got to see them with the lead against Arlington, but Arlington's their whole different beast. But whenever
yeah,
they play the best of the best, they got to try and they
I
can't be
mean,
playing from behind the entire time.
yeah, I mean McCarran didn't
McCarron,
even have a bad game. So
yeah, McCarron, 22 for 34, 236 yards, two touchdowns, one pick. That one pick was to Michael Joseph of the
hmm
defenders, who is a tie with the Ajane Smith, or yeah, Harris, excuse me, for the lead in XFL interceptions
at
through the halfway point
five,
in the season. So that's
yeah,
wait, what?
5 picks,
Yeah, four, I believe, four.
4. Oh, okay.
That's four now, yeah. So that's pretty cool just to see that. And let's just see so rushing Brian Hill had another solid game, 14 for 79. He's just been he's been the real solid running back in this league.
Yep,
Kind of like what I thought Caleb Balaj might be
I
for
thought
San
that too.
Antonio.
Yeah,
We'll get into that a little bit later. Receiving for the Battlehawks, Hakeem Butler, catches, 86
Hakeem.
yards. Hakeem's a beast, 12 targets too. Steven Mitchell had a touchdown, long one, 50-yarder.
Oh yeah.
He had three targets. Darius Shepard, we're gonna get into him. He only had three catches, 30 yards here, but in the return game he was ridiculous.
Still
He had three
going.
returns, 155 return yards. That's an average of 51.7. His long was 80.
80
He had a
yards.
crazy game. And that also reminds me on the defender side of things. It was Jaquez Azard, four returns, four kickoff returns, 103 yards, average of 25.8, had a long of 34. I just thought I'd spotlight that as well. But yeah, John, do you got anything else on this game other than just Abram Smith taking over?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely why the Battlehawks lost. I'd say that Austin Prohl, he hasn't really been involved as much in the throwing game for St. Louis, which I think is a mistake. I think they should start trying to spread that ball around, and I know they kind of did this week, but I think they should attempt to do that more.
Yeah, it definitely feels like he's gotten out of the game plan the past couple of weeks, so it'd be nice to get him
Yeah,
back into it. Um, who do they play this week again? Battlehawks.
they
Let me look.
play
It's the Vipers. Okay,
Vipers.
so
Yeah,
yeah, I don't want to call it a tune-up game because it's
yeah,
I don't think any game's a tune-up game in this league. So
no, definitely
at
not.
this point in time, it's just let's just see if they can get him involved this week.
Yeah,
Are we ready for the next game?
I believe we are.
Let's do it.
We're gonna head over to over to Vegas, where the Orlando Guardians came in against the
Toilet bowl.
Vipers. Yeah, the Toilet Bowl this week, which turned out to be a pretty good game, actually.
Toilet Bowl 2.0. This is probably the most exciting game, I think, honestly, just watching it.
Oh yeah, I mean the Toilet Bowls, they just turning out very well for.
Yeah, the toilet bowls. I mean, you got nothing to lose when you're out there, right? I mean,
Exactly. Yeah, so
just
we
some
got
guys playing ball.
35-32 finish. The Vegas Vipers take it. Start with the Guardians here. We saw Paxton Lynch come in the game early, and he didn't do much. He ended up completing 5 of his 9 attempts for 47 yards. And then we saw Quentin Dormandy come in,
Oh
and
my goodness.
yeah, I can't believe that. And he gave them a spark, which I honestly did not think he would do after that scandal that came out. But he completed 22 passes on his 25 attempts and had 2 touchdowns and 256 yards, doing pretty well for himself. Not much going on in the rushing attack for either team here, but Cody Latimer for the Guardians went off as he had 8 catches, 124 yards, and a touchdown. Other guys, we got Rambo. Christian Rambo, is that his name?
Charleston Rambo.
Carlston, yeah.
Charleston.
Carlston Rambo. My bad. 5 receptions, 69 yards, and a touchdown
That
as
guy's
well.
fast. He
Oh,
is
yeah.
fast, man. Speedster.
And then defense, not much. That was kind of the big thing Orlando couldn't do in this game is defense and stopping the Vipers, and that's why they lost it. Got any insights on the Guardians here?
Did you talk Perez or Smith? I kind of got
I'm
lost in my own world there.
Yeah, I'll get into the
Or-
Vipers next here.
Yeah, I don't really have anything on the Guardians. I will talk. Let's talk Dormandy really quick.
Yeah.
We know he was reinstated. We talked about that in the article last
Mm-hmm.
week. We discussed that on Around the XFL, our new segment, which we're also going to do this week. We'll talk about some rule changes in the XFL.
Oh yeah.
But for Dormandy, I mean, it looks like there was an athletic article that came out today, literally on this Friday. We're recording this on Friday night, going into Saturday, so this is gonna be a Saturday morning edition of the
Yep.
show. But it sounds like the maybe like there was something just taken out of context, or there was something I don't know what happened, but it sounds like Dormandy is innocent, man. He was reinstated. There was no evidence, whatever it was. The headline on The Athletic is Quentin Dormady was accused of giving his XFL team's plays to an opponent. Then things got weird. And oh okay. Oh no, it's not letting me read it. Okay, I thought it was gonna let me read it. I have to have a subscription to The Athletic, which I don't have, so I can't read the article. I'd love to because I really think it'd be cool to talk about it after what happened last week. But the guy's
Yeah.
back. I'm hoping once this Athletic article kind of reaches the masses, I'm hoping that it kind of that the information in that article spreads a little bit more so we can talk about
Mm-hmm.
it. We'll talk about it maybe on next week's show. But other than that, Doherty looked great.
Yep.
I want to hopefully everyone who anybody who's like I guess accused him of this without any evidence or anything, or just I don't know what happened exactly, but um, hopefully they apologized. I don't think we do. I mean, did we say anything last week that might have been jumping the gun a little bit? I don't think we did. I think we kept it like,
No.
hey, if there's no evidence,
Yeah.
I think
I,
we kept it pretty clean. So I don't think we got anything to say. I think it's just we're we hope that you didn't do it, Quentin, and we're glad to see you balling out, man.
yep.
It was good to see you play. You look really good. So we'll be watching that next week as well. We'll be looking into that. We hope that information comes out so we can talk about it.
Hopefully he's starting, but we don't know
After
that
that
news
performance, dude,
because
that's true. I think he's got to, man. I
I
think he
mean
has
he's
to.
yeah
After
he
a game
has
like
to.
that,
And
uh,
just yeah, Paxton Lynch just hasn't been able to do much of anything because
kind of
they're
like
0-5. So
yeah, kind of like Luis Perez. I mean, God, he had a game this week, right?
he did. He went 20 of 28, pretty respectable there. 269 yards and 3 touchdowns. Great numbers for him. The rushing attack, they tried to get it going with Smith. Do you know his first name? I don't know his first name.
Rod Smith.
Rod Smith. There you go.
He was a Cowboy for a while.
Yeah. So
I have an older running back. I wonder how
Yeah,
old
I
he
know.
is.
Interesting they would go that route.
Yeah, I'm
But
trying to see what's his age.
I don't
That's
know.
not the right Smith.
You wanna? I'll,
That's old Rod Smith from the Broncos, who's 52 now. So that's the wrong one. I'm looking him up. I'm looking him up. 31. Okay, so I
31.
mean,
Yeah.
definitely on the older side for running backs. I think
Especially in
nowadays
this
for
league.
us, yeah, for us fantasy players, usually
Yeah.
the fall off for running backs we try to look for is around late 20s. So that's definitely 31's over the hill a little bit. But in hey, Rod's looking great, man. He running with power this week.
Yep. He had 18 attempts, so you saw they really tried to get that going. Sadly, they only got 62 yards off those 18 attempts. But he did get in for 2 touchdowns, so good for him.
Man, take the touchdowns, man.
Yeah. Again, not much defense for these guys, as it was a high-scoring game. Again, 35-32. Leading receiver here, Bedette. Is it? What is it? Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head, no.
Alrighty. Anyways, he had 5 receptions for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns. Pretty good for him there. And yeah, that's about it here. Not much on defense, like I said.
Yeah, I think definitely not a defensive game.
No, not at all. As both teams, I mean, Vegas almost got up to 400 total yards, and Orlando was around 360. So, I mean, that alone will just tell you not much defense
Yeah, that's a
was
lot.
going on.
Yeah.
Alrighty, moving on to our final game of Week 5. Arlington going into San Antonio, and stinker of a game, to say the least.
Hmm.
Starting
Sunday night
off,
football, baby.
yeah, starting off on the Renegades side, we got Kyle Sloter. Decent, decent numbers. I mean, again, nothing too special. 14 of 26 for 148 yards, and
Slaughter.
yeah, I mean, you got anything
Like
to say?
for me, it was weird that they even. Okay, I'm gonna explain my thinking here.
Alrighty.
So Slaughter came in week 3 following the what's it called? The Renegades lost to the Roughnecks in week 2.
Mm-hmm.
So we were looking at it like, oh, okay, Slaughter comes in, maybe this offense gets better. To be honest with you, dude, I hate to say it because I'm a huge Slaughter guy,
Yeah.
but the offense has kind of been like maybe even worse than it was the first 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The offense in the first 2 weeks wasn't anything great, but like it didn't feel like something where they could like where it felt like they needed to like abandon ship on Drew Plitt.
Yeah.
It
I
seems
never
really weird to
understood.
just like jump ship on him so early.
Yeah,
Like
I didn't
obviously he won the
understand
job
why
in
they did
camp.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
like obviously he won the job in camp, and it just after to get rid of him after 2 weeks, it just I don't know. That
Yeah.
felt weird to me. I Yeah, I don't really know what to do with the Renegades at this point. It's for their offense. I mean, what is it that really they can? Again, I just think they just need to find an identity.
Exactly. I mean, nothing was really working for them in this game, but again, they're playing another team that has no identity, so it was a,
That's true.
you
That
know.
helped. Yeah,
And Kyle
and
Sloter
it
also had a pick I forgot to mention, so
he did have a pick. Yeah, he did. It was not the greatest throw
yeah.
at all or decision. So just very pedestrian numbers for Slaughter. Like if he throws a pick, he's probably going to throw a touchdown with it too. Or if he throws 2 picks, he might throw a touchdown to kind of balance it
Exactly.
out.
And he
It
did
definitely
not
feels
throw
like
a
it's not
touchdown
really.
today. Or I guess
Yeah,
last week.
yeah. It just feels like he. I love Slaughter, and I really feel like he's a good veteran. He knows what to do in certain situations, but it's just like
Yeah.
I don't know. It just feels like the good never outbalances the bad. It's usually like the bad outweighs the good with him. Like the mistakes
Yeah.
usually are more than the good things that he does, even though he always keeps it like relatively in the meh range. And I don't. Maybe Plitt was doing the same thing. It really felt like too early to jump on him or jump
Yeah.
ship on him. They had only lost 1 game. It was the
Exactly.
second
I don't
week.
know.
They were 1-1. I don't know. Felt too early. You got anything on the Brahmas?
Um I'm just gonna finish up the Renegades here.
Oh, go for it. Go for
In
it.
receiving, Sal Canella is starting to get more involved. 4 receptions.
Starting.
Or
Guy's
I don't actually
insane.
know. Was he going off?
He's been incredible
Oh, he
all
has been.
year.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Anyways,
No, you're fine.
uh, yeah, I mean, nobody really did much on receiving in this game, so we'll just skip on that as I thought he was starting. But their defense had 3 picks, so good for them.
Mm.
And trans. Never mind, not going to say that because I don't know what word I was trying to say there. We're going to go into the Brahmas
Mm.
now.
Hmm.
A weird thing going on for the Brahmas as they started out the game with Reed Sinnett. I'm pretty sure they got it. It was a first drive touchdown. Had another drive or two after that where nothing really happened. Jack Cohn came in and did nothing as well. So, and then I think they ended up going back to Sinnett. So nothing exactly happened. And when Jack Cohn came in, on his 15 attempts, he threw 2 picks. I,
Jeez.
yeah, I don't. And they were
So
bad picks, too.
some of the quarterback decisions are very puzzling to me in this league so far.
Yeah.
Um, this one I like the move to Sinet because I get it. Like you had lost, what would have been 3 straight up to this point now?
Yeah,
Because
because they.
they started 1-1 and they lost 3 straight here to kind of get into the halfway point in the season. So,
Yeah.
and with the Renegades, and this is a big game because you obviously we'll talk about it later, but these two teams play back-to-back weeks. So like this
Exactly.
stretch right here is huge for them. So I like the move to Sinet. It took some guts to definitely do that, but to go back to Cone immediately afterwards seems weird to me as well. I
Yeah.
don't think Cone was the problem in the first place. I think it's the O line, but it's kind of hard to fix that. I know Orlando did a pretty good job at patching theirs up, but
Uh-huh.
even they still have problems there. So I don't know about that. But I like the move to Sinet, but I don't know about the move back to Cone.
Yeah, I don't like the move back to Cone, especially when you're just getting Sinet into a starting position. You got to let him play out a full game before you really make a decision on that, at least in my opinion. And he did well in the first half, but I guess after that they were just trying to keep that momentum going. But I don't think subbing in a new guy for a guy who hasn't really made any mistakes yet is the right option.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely some puzzling quarterback decisions on both sides. Maybe Slaughter a little bit more understandable, but
Yeah.
I don't know about this Sinet Cohen situation. It'll be interesting to see who starts next week, which makes the whole preview segment a little bit interesting. So we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that everything on this game? Or you got anything more?
Pretty much. I mean, Kalen Balaj not doing much in the running game. 4 attempts for 2 yards. What's going on here?
Uh,
They
yeah.
did try getting Patrick involved, and he got 6 attempts for 26. But Balaj was actually really prevalent in the receiving game, as he had 5 catches for 42 yards. Again, that O line being like Swiss cheese, they really
Hmm.
dump it down to their running back a lot because they don't have the time to get it out. On defense, there was a pick, but that's about it. Had a sack here and there. And yeah, I think they have Balaj doing too much because he's also doing kick returns. So
Really?
I don't really. Yeah, he had 4
For
returns for 81 yards.
for Balaj, for me, it's like it feels like he has great hands, right? That's something that nobody talks about.
Yeah,
Balaj is great. He's always had great hands, but it's like he's never had a really good O line, and he doesn't really have like the abilities to make up for that. Not necessarily his fault, but he's more of a power guy. But he has great hands. I'll say that too. He's a power guy, but he's got a good set of hands.
yeah,
But he can't. He's never. But that power doesn't help you when there's three dudes coming at you.
exactly.
That's good in like a one-on-one scenario, or just on the goal line. You just need to get a yard or two. He's never really had
Precisely.
like a speed to like bounce outside or anything. So I don't know. I just don't feel like the Brahmas. They wanted to build around him and his abilities, but I don't think they did that very well.
Yeah, they really don't know what they're doing. But
Uh, yeah, they're
uh,
definitely going through like a midlife crisis at the moment,
yeah,
mid-season crisis. Them and the Renegades, they meet in round two this
exactly.
week in Dallas. We're going to talk about that, or in Arlington, I guess you should say. But
The one
you know,
consistent thing for the Brahmas is Parker Romo, as he again nailed a 45-yard field goal at the end of the first half to keep it a little close at that point. Or yeah, they had the lead actually at that point going into but that was the last point they saw in the game. So
yeah. All right. Is that everything on these games?
I so I don't remember what game, but I know some team switched up their play caller.
Was that Orlando? Wasn't that Orlando? We talked about that last week.
Yeah, and I think they did
We
do it
talked about
right.
it was yeah, it was the head coach, Terrell Buckley came in, he was calling plays.
Yeah, but I even think I might have been San Antonio that did it, but I think another team switched up
Really?
their play caller too.
Huh. Yeah, a lot of these changes come in for these teams kind of in desperate scenarios, which makes sense, right?
Yeah,
Orlando and San Antonio both at the bottom of their divisions, both need some changes. Still a lot of time, still got 5 weeks to go, 5 games to go for each team. So still a lot of games to be played, a lot of football to be played. But for a team like Orlando, it's becoming now or never. Same with the Brahmas. They got a little bit more room though. If they can pull off a win against Arlington this week, then things can get a little bit more interesting.
yeah. Oh,
All
I
right.
am seeing here.
Oh,
Just a Kurt Benkert traded to San Antonio Brahmas.
quarterback.
Yeah.
No shit, huh?
So we shall see what happens in the QB room next week as they go to take on the Renegades again.
Who do you get traded for?
Um, let's see here.
Does it say? Where do you find this?
I just on the news sites, on the news.
Mm.
The Roughnecks activated QB Kurt Benkert from the reserve list, and Houston receives Drew Lewis, a linebacker,
Okay.
and San Antonio receives Kurt Benkert.
Banker, he's okay, so I got the stats up here, but I've heard the name. So he was a
Green
he's
Bay
27 years old. He's a
Packers. Ooh,
quarterback. Yeah, he was born in Baltimore.
okay.
He went to East Carolina, but then he transferred to Virginia. So he's been around the block.
Mm-hmm.
He was drafted by the Green Bay Packers. But he was oh no, he wasn't. Excuse me. No, he was with the
Undrafted free agent
no,
signed
undrafted free
by the
agent. Yeah, right.
Falcons, I
Signed
think.
by the Falcons, and then he was signed by the Packers as well. He played in some preseason games.
Yeah. And
Don't
he
have the stats
joined the
for those, but
Niners at one point too.
really, he was on the Niners. Okay, I remember him Packers and Falcons. I never remembered, but that's cool. Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Alrighty.
So there you go. Oh yeah, there it is. Kurt, San Francisco 49ers quarterback. That's funny.
We shall
Cool.
see how this comes to light in the coming weeks.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna get in immediately. He's not gonna have an
Probably
immediate
not.
impact. He's gonna have to learn the playbook or whatever. So
Yeah.
I don't. So this is for San Antonio, right? You said he's
Yeah,
the
San
Brahmas now.
Antonio.
Okay. Yeah. So you're not gonna get this week. And it depends what happens this week too. They're gonna depend on rushing him out the next week or whatever. Like if they lose, then maybe it's like you
Mm-hmm.
consider depending on what his effect's been on the locker room. You can see what you want to do, but
Yeah.
right now you just have to see. Hope you beat Arlington. This could be a big game for both sides. But
Exactly.
all right, we ready for our power rankings here?
I think we are.
All right, here's our week 6 power rankings. Jeez, we're over halfway through the season after these next games, so that's crazy. Um, John, do you have yours up? You want to go
I
first?
do have mine up. So, at number 1, gotta take the 5-0 team, the DC Defenders themselves. They look pretty unstoppable, and if they can get a tandem going with the passing game and the run game, I think they're gonna be the most, well, they are right now, but if they can even more get that up, they will be unstoppable for the weeks to come. At number 2,
Hey. I
oh
was
yeah,
thinking, what if we do it like one at a time here? So
oh
like
okay, yeah,
you
go
do
ahead.
one, I do, and I. So my one is also the defenders. I mean, Abram Smith, obviously unstoppable. That defense has been amazing so far. And Tamu has stepped up when they need him to. I know he hasn't needed to lately, so we haven't
Hmm.
really seen a lot of him, but he stepped up when we needed to. He's proved me wrong a couple times, so I'm gonna back the defenders right now. I mean, they're undefeated,
Yeah.
so can't go wrong.
Alrighty. In my number 2 spot, I got the Houston Roughnecks. I know they took an L this week, which is why I did drop them down a spot. But I did think it was kind of a fluke game, get the short week against Seattle, and a lot just didn't really go Houston's way, I would say. Even though Danucci had those 3 picks, I don't know. I'm still calling that a fluke game, and I think Houston will bounce back this week.
I also have the Roughnecks. Feels like Seattle's just peaking at the moment on
Mm-hmm.
defense. Maybe not on offense, but on their defense is definitely playing lights out right now, and you have to respect that where it's at. Roughnecks receivers didn't get any separation, which scares me a little bit. Maybe Seattle laid a bit of a blueprint on how to beat Houston's offense in the future. Defense got a lot of turnovers. They were definitely a bend but don't break kind of night. It definitely felt like the Sea Dragons were going up and down the field on them, and it kind of like those interceptions. If those didn't happen, it really felt like the Sea Dragons really could have ran away with this one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but I think the Roughnecks are still that good, man. I mean, they're not like a bad team all of a sudden. They're still the Houston Roughnecks. They're right there with the
Yeah,
defenders. But I mean, I got they had this their first misstep all year, so I gotta count them for it as I have every other team in this league. So I'm
exactly.
gonna put them at 2.
Alrighty. Going into 3, I am taking the St. Louis Battlehawks. Again, they did just take the L to the Defenders, but I just don't see another team that I could put ahead of them.
Yeah, for me, I am also with the St. Louis Battlehawks at 3. Yeah, I mean they have 2 losses. You're looking at 3-2 records, so this is a above average team, and that's where I have them at above average. Um, I mean their 2 losses are to the best team in the XFL right now, so
Exactly.
I have to give credit there. For the Battlehawks, they have a +4 point differential in the season, which
Hmm.
if you don't know what point differential is, obviously that's your points for versus your points against.
Yep,
They are in the positive. Not every team can say that. I actually would love
that
to
is
see the
true.
point differential standings. Yeah, not every team can say that. The Battlehawks are +4, so they're just above the line. Seattle's actually +14. We'll get into that in a minute.
Hmm.
But for me, I just think McCarron down the stretch at the end of a game, I trust him against almost any other quarterback in this league. I think the
Yep,
receiving core is so good. Brian Hill's a beast. So it's the offense is not the problem. It's just can the defense make stops and just keep
yeah,
them in
exactly.
games? Because if the Battlehawks have to score a ton of points, a ton of points, I don't know if they're necessarily going to be able to do that. But I think
Yeah,
they can be in a game as if it's like a just a
exactly.
back and forth or I just don't know if it can be just like a they got to score every single time
Yeah,
sort of game.
they just
So I'm gonna have them
gotta.
at 3.
Yeah, and they
Just
just
got to get
gotta.
stops, man.
Yeah,
Defense has
stop
got to
the
play
run,
better.
especially.
I agree with that.
Alrighty, going into 4. I did make this list and had Arlington at 4, but then I was thinking about it just now and decided to move Seattle up into the 4 spot.
Good call. Good man. Good man.
Mainly because Arlington, they don't know what the hell they're doing, and Seattle, even though Danucci they have, all right, not just Danucci, but in general, they have the most turnovers, which is kind of crazy that they're 3-2 with the most turnovers, and they just had 4 in their last game, which is also crazy. Uh, but yeah, I'm putting Seattle up there just because I think they're sticking with Danucci, which I do respect, and not just subbing him out to just get a spark. But yeah, I'm just putting Seattle at 4.
Yeah, I also have Seattle at 4. So far, we're being very agreeable right now. I thought you were gonna go crazy with Arlington there, but yeah, I have Seattle at 4. Yeah, Danucci. I mean, with his ups comes his downs.
Yeah,
But this defense right now, no one's talking about the defense. The defense is really hot right now. They're streaking.
that is true. I
They look
missed
great
that.
so far. Yeah. Josh Gordon um has definitely been taken out of these past couple games, but Seattle has
Yeah.
shown they have enough weapons to survive without him. The rushing game this past week didn't look anything great, which is why I have them against above like they're
Hmm.
below the Battle Hawks and the rush and what's it called and the turnovers as well. But the defense looks great
Yeah.
and yeah. So I mean they're playing great right now, and I think they're one of the hotter teams in this league right now. Even they're winning games when they need to, so
Yeah.
got to give credit
100%.
there.
So at 5, I'm taking Arlington,
Right.
and
Have
yeah,
to.
I think that, yeah, I don't know. They still don't know what they're doing, but hopefully they start to figure it out. Again, they just got to get something working, even if it is like short passes on long drives or like good runs. They just got to find something that works. Defense has not been the problem for them, so that offense really got to start moving.
Yeah, I also have Arlington at 5. Arlington, their defense again is really, really good. They're one of the best in the
Yep.
league. Um, they have a negative 17 point differential, but don't get it twisted. That's because their offense cannot score.
Yeah.
Um, they haven't scored. God, what was the stat? I'm trying to find it. Let me look for it. Renegades, Renegades, Renegades. Yeah, what was it? They haven't scored more than 14 points since the first week of the season. That says a lot right
That's kind
there.
of sad.
Right. I mean at this point, it'll be interesting to see how this double header back to back
Yeah.
week against the Brahmas, how that's going to affect the game and see if it speeds up at all.
Hmm.
I don't see it being another 12-10 game. To be honest with you, I think I could see it speed up just a little bit.
I
Maybe
hope
like
it
a
speeds up.
maybe like a 24-20 game. I just feel like the both sides are going to adjust and make the adjustments and find the mistakes that each team made because it definitely felt like it was a game of mistakes, not really a game of amazing defense.
Yeah, I agree
But
with that.
yeah, I'm gonna take the Renegades at 5. They have the personnel. They just gotta get it together.
Precisely. Moving into our 6th spot here, or my 6th spot, I got the Vegas Vipers.
Ooh, okay.
they took a win in Orlando, and I don't know if it's the Vegas performance that I'm putting them up, or if it's the Brahmas' lack of performance because I'm putting them down. What do you see at your sixth spot?
My 6 is the Brahmas.
Alrighty.
Same thing where it feels like they have the personnel. I just can't get it together. I felt like they could like reshuffle the O line maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
And try and just get it together. I could see the argument for Vegas though, because they did just finally, that they have positive momentum. But
Yeah.
I'm looking at the entire season overall, and I guess right now,
That's fair.
the Brahmas also beat the Vipers. But I think it's really fair to say the Vipers right now have actually won. They have positive momentum. They're rolling. You might be able to say they've kind of stayed in every game.
Record. Like these two teams have the
Right.
same record, which is not something I thought I'd be saying like
This
2
is
3
crazy,
weeks
yeah.
ago. So
Very true. For me, it's the Brahmas defense. I
Alright.
in these leagues, I feel like I've said it, and it's because like quarterback is so hard to play,
true.
and that's why I value those guys like Dak Prescott and Kirk Cousins in the NFL.
Yeah.
Because we consider them like average quarterbacks, but if you were to drop them in the XFL or the USFL, they would be amazing. They would be incredible.
100%.
And there's not like 32 elite quarterbacks on planet Earth. There are like probably
Nope.
I don't know, set like 5 to 7 of them. So
Yeah.
playing quarterback's really freaking hard to do. You know this. And that's why I feel like quarterback isn't usually the separator in these leagues. Like I don't think
Definitely.
I guess I'll spoil it. We're talking about the USFL a little bit later in the show. Training camp just started up.
Yeah.
But last year it was the first year we really got to see like a full season of these like spring summer football leagues. And the Stallions never had the best quarterback. They never did. But they always had the best overall team. They were like the 49ers. Like, if we were to drop the 49ers in these leagues, not like, obviously, we're drop the 49ers in these leagues, that'd be insane. But like, that same type of team where it's like they don't always have the best quarterback, but they always had the best, like, overall roster. Like, the team overall was always so good.
We're seeing that with DC, and that's why they're number 1 right now.
Right. I think in the NFL, you need a good to great quarterback / elite quarterback to
100%.
win it all, win a Super Bowl. But in these leagues, I don't think that's necessarily a thing. I think that it's more about the rosters.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with San Antonio. I think the defense is better. I do like point differential a lot. You want to look at point differential. San Antonio -5, obviously not good. They're in the red. That's not good. But you're 1-4, so being -5, if anything, that actually kind of pops out the page.
That is true.
Especially when you look at Vegas, who's at -29. Yikes.
Oh, damn. I have not looked at these numbers. So.
No, point differential is a really good stat. I like it a lot. I think it says definitely a lot. Yeah, I mean, like Orlando at -71, which, you know what? We're going to go right into that really quick because we're just going to get into it. Orlando, they're my number 8.
Same here.
Great to see Quentin Dormady out there playing ball.
Yeah.
Cody Latimer looked great. Charleston Rambo as well. You touched on that. You did a great job with that. But I mean, if you look at it, they have the 3rd least amount of points, and they've given up the most amount of points.
Yeah.
-71 point differential. I just realized Arlington scored 69 total points. That's crazy. And San Antonio scored 74. God, that is pathetic. That is so bad. How are they? God, Arlington's 3-2 with a -17 point differential. That's incredible. I guess that helps when you've played Vegas, San Antonio,
in the league,
and in Orlando. Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see once because obviously Arlington's gonna have to play at least every team once. It's gonna be interesting when they actually have to go through that rough patch because their 3 wins are Orlando, San Antonio, and Vegas. So.
They have to play Orlando again, I'm pretty sure, at one point here.
Yeah, they're gonna have to, and they're also gonna have to play San Antonio again this week.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to play Houston, but then they've already played Vegas. They haven't played Seattle yet. They played St. Louis, and they're gonna have to play DC as well. So that's what their final 5 games looks like. Not in order, of course, but yeah, good luck with that, Arlington. I think we're gonna learn a lot about them. But that could easily open the door for a team like Orlando or San Antonio, to be honest with you, to sneak in that second spot. I think definitely a team's going to get snubbed in the North, St. Louis or Seattle. I think DC is probably going to lock up that spot. Maybe Vegas makes a run. You never know. But in the South Division, I think It's gonna be like the Washington football team where
Oh
they just
yeah,
kind of snuck in the playoffs at 7-9, win their division,
it is a
and
stinker division, and
it'll be an interesting way
I
to see how that goes.
yeah, I think just I'm gonna kind of gas Orlando up here. They did do a lot of good things last week. They just need to secure that defense a bit more. And if they can get that, they could make a run. I don't know if they can sneak into the playoffs just because Arlington has that win, unless Arlington is losing the rest of their games, which is possible. I haven't seen much from them that really proves
That
that
says a
they
lot.
could win
Yeah,
all
I
of their
mean,
final games. So we'll
I think what's
see.
great about it is that the South is wide open on that
100%,
spot.
yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what fills that. I guess where the entertainment's going to be is the North, but I'm interested to see in the South and who limps in to play Houston. To be honest with you.
Yeah, that will be I don't know how fun it will be to watch, but it'll be something to
Uh,
watch.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It'll be like fun to watch, as in like the playoff game will be fun, but I think
Yeah.
the games leading up to that, trying to see who sneaks in
Some
there,
more
is going to be
toilet
fun.
bowls.
Right, some more toilet bowls, but they actually mean something because there's a
Yeah,
playoff spot on the
exactly.
line. That'll be fun. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think that's everything, right? Do we have anything else on Orlando? What is it on Orlando, I guess? Like, is it the big players on both offense and defense? Like on offense feels like they're getting the big play lately. But like is the defense been giving up a lot of big plays? Like what has it been?
I think it's a combination kind of. I think Orlando's offense did start to gain some legs that it hasn't seen at all in the past 4 weeks as they scored 32
Mhm.
points, but again, that's against one of the worst defenses in the league as well.
Right.
So,
Actually, yeah, well the second worst only to
to
them,
them,
according
right?
to
So,
points against,
we shall
Yeah.
see. I think I would like to see who do they play this week? I forget.
Orlando?
Yeah.
Seattle.
Yeah,
Which
so
I
that's
mean,
a
I don't know if that's a good matchup for them right now, but
it
they're gonna have to
probably
pull out a win
isn't, but
somewhere.
it'll definitely that game is going to define the rest of their season. If it's a win and go on a streak or it's a lose and you're done for the year. So we'll see what
Hey
happens.
man, it's in Orlando, so they're gonna have the home crowd around them. We'll see how that goes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's our power rankings for
Yep.
this week. Are we I do want to get into an ESPN article. It's our second week of ESPN articles.
Alrighty.
This is around the XFL, my friends. Um
Let's go.
here's our this is our topic for this week. It's gonna be which XFL rule should the NFL consider stealing? Um
Yeah.
this is ESPN's weekly article that they always like to do now. It seems like they finally
It's
given a
starting
little
to
bit of
pick
coverage
up.
of the
Starting
league.
to pick up.
Well, it is starting to pick up. I will admit, the ESPN they've added like the game center and everything, so you can actually look at the box score and everything.
Yeah.
Is it enough? No, but they improved the coverage of the league a lot? Yes. So I
They're
do want to give
moving.
credit there where it's due.
They are getting some ups in viewership, I saw. So we'll see. Hopefully that
I know
continues to go up and they continue
some people
to.
were talking about the viewership was lower this past weekend because of March
Yeah,
Madness, which makes sense. Well, they're going to be competing with it again this weekend, so I can't imagine it being any
exactly.
better or any worse, to be honest with you. There's less
Yeah,
games, but the games are a bigger deal.
that
You
is
know, we'll talk
true.
about March. We'll talk about a little bit of
We'll
March
get into
Madness
it.
later, just for fun. That'll be fun. So we'll get into that. But yeah, let's talk about some of these rule changes really quick.
Alrighty.
So I guess not rule changes, but rules that the XFL has. So yeah, this is which XFL rules should the NFL consider stealing? I'm just going to read some of this article. This is by Kevin Seifert. This seems to be our guy for the XFL. He wrote the
Yeah.
Dormandy one last week. So I'll link this in the show notes. Um, Seifert writes, in February 2022, the XFL announced its plans to serve as a petri dish for the NFL innovation, offering its platform to experiment with proposed rules, test new equipment, and develop prospective officials and coaches. Okay, he talks about the midpoint. Let's consider 6 such rules and philosophies and compare them to the way the NFL operates. Here's the kickoff formation. So here's some nitty gritty
Yep.
info. So get ready here. The kicker lines up at his 30-yard line. This is for the kickoff formation,
Mm-hmm.
with the other 10 members of the kickoff team lining up at the opponent's 35, 5 yards away from the returning team. Only the kicker and one returner can move until the ball is fielded. Touchbacks are spotted at the 35-yard line. In the NFL, kicking team lines up at its 35-yard line with 8 members of the return team within 15 yards. No double team blocks allowed. Touchbacks are spotted at the 25-yard line. What do we think about this? He gets into a couple statistics here, which maybe I'll read while you
Yeah,
talk
read
here.
those out now before.
Well, no, you
Oh,
start
you want me
talking.
to
You start
say
talking.
something? Okay.
Yes, yeah. Do you have an opinion on this? What are you thinking on these?
I mean, I don't know really how I feel about this. I'm kind of neutral on it. I can see why the XFL does it over regular kick returns like the NFL, but I don't really feel like this should be implemented in the NFL. I'll just say that.
Okay, I would say that we should at least consider it. I'm going to read this paragraph here because this is
Okay.
exactly what I like. Okay, so the XFL's rule is one of its most preserved from the league's 2020 incarnation, the original, and it has continued to hit its goal of maximizing returns and minimizing the incentive for touchbacks while avoiding the high-speed collisions that made the traditional kickoff so dangerous. So basically, what he's saying is returns are really fun in football. Kickoff returns, punt returns, that's the stuff that gets
Yeah,
viewership and highlights
100%.
on YouTube and Instagram and everything. Like that's what we want. We
Oh
want
yeah.
big plays. We want big touchdowns like that. But we also want to get rid of the high speed collision. So how do we do that? We basically incentivize what's it called? We want to incentivize returns, but we also just want to make the returns less dangerous. So it takes some getting used to as 20 players stand still with the ball in the air, but the numbers don't lie. More than 90% of XFL kickoffs have been returned this season compared to about 40% of NFL kickoffs.
Yeah.
Does that change anything you? Because okay, so what is it you don't like? So I'm fine with them standing still and waiting till the ball's caught in the air. What I don't like is the touchback rule, where it's like brought out to the 45-yard line
Yeah, I don't.
or
I
at the
would agree.
35. So touchbacks are at the 35, and if the ball goes out of bounds, or no, well, that's punts. That's punts. That's a different thing.
Yeah, I would
Punts did they
agree.
go? If punts go out of bounds now, they come out to your own 45, which is like
Yeah, that's
ridiculously.
crazy. I don't understand
That's a
that.
big. But for the kickoffs, what do you think about it? Let's just say because I think that's the thing for me is like the touchback spot at the 35. I'm fine with the 25-yard line. That's fine with me. 35 feels like you're incentivizing the return too much. I feel like,
Yeah,
but maybe that's what you want. I don't know. It's kind of a weird because you want to incentivize the returns. That's why they have the touchback thing. But then
exactly.
you also want to make the returns less dangerous.
I think
Yeah, I don't know.
five
It's kind of hard to have
yards,
both.
5 yards apart. I think is too little. They can stand still. I
Like
don't care
contact.
about that part. It's just there have been some breakaway returns where they've gone for what 60, 70 yards, but it just seems like they're never going to get to a touchdown because these returners are just getting caught up in that mess of the 5 yards. And then the kicker can just make a
Right,
tackle where that hole opens, you know?
right.
So I
Or
think it's
just someone gets through their block, basically. Yeah.
exact. I think it's be better to have maybe a little more of a gap. I understand the high speed collision thing, but I think 5 yards is just too little
About
because
you
you're
think
just
10 yards, but is 10 yards too much at that point? That's what I'm
I'd
saying.
say 7 yard. Like I know it's nitpicky, but that 2 extra yards I think would do a lot. So
Okay, I like
yeah,
that.
and maybe give the
Yeah.
returner a bit more space to return. So maybe have them even lined up at but see if you have them lined up at the 40 and the 45, then the kick returner is like has a free 40-yard return, right? So it's
Yeah.
kind of hard to balance having the returner have enough space, but also not having it be unfair to the point where he can just return to the 40, take a knee, like
Right. I For me it's like the touchback thing I'm trying to figure out because like I'm fine with the 5 yards of separation. I think that's fine. For me it's like it's hard to I don't know. I feel like 35 you're giving the returner too much,
that's true.
right? So basically when you're kicking a touchback, a lot of the times it's because you respect the returner too much. You don't want them to return the
Exactly.
kick.
Yeah.
But then you're almost over like 35-yard line, you're giving them way too much there. But then I guess that forces returns, which is what they're trying to do, right? Maybe the 30? I don't know.
So
This one's kind of interesting for me. I don't know. I think maybe like the 30-yard line touchback. I like the 20, like 25 is fine though.
so
What if
the
we just did a
kicker
25?
can't kick it into the end zone? Is that how this works? Like
Yeah, if he kicks a touchback, it goes out to well, he can kick a touchback, it just goes out to the 35.
So if the returner catches it in the end zone, can they return it out? Do you
I believe
know?
so, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So maybe move the the guys up to the 30 and instead
But at
have
that
them
point,
return from the like kind of make the kickers kick it to the end zone. I
right, but
don't know.
I don't know. I think if you're either kicking in the end zone now, since like the special teamers know this rule, they're just going to be like, oh, take a knee because we get 10 extra yards than like you would in the NFL, right? Like 35 is like that's pretty good starting day and field position. Like that's a pretty good return in
Yeah,
the NFL, you know.
I
If you're
would
getting
say
like
they
you're
gotta lower
35,
that
like that's
touchback
solid, that's good.
yardage.
I agree. I think that's what I would do. But I like most of this. I know you don't like the separation or you want to increase it a little bit more, but I like most of this.
Alrighty. Yeah.
Um, onside kick alternative. All right.
I'm
So
a fan of that. I'll just say that.
yeah, I'll read it out. But for those who know, if you know, you know.
Yeah.
XFL rule: after scoring in the fourth quarter, teams have an alternative to kicking off, or attempting an onside kick, so they can still actually or they can actually go for the onside kick as well still, but we'll talk about that. Instead, they can run one offensive play from their 25-yard line. If they gain 15 yards or more, essentially converting a fourth and 15, they can retain possession. In the NFL, teams can only can use only the traditional kickoff formation while following a score. So
Yeah.
on this one, obviously, I'm going to talk about it here. XFL teams have attempted the fourth and 15 option 6 times so far this season, converting two. The
Mhm.
first conversion was a key part of the Battlehawks comeback from a 12-point fourth quarter deficit en route to an 18-15 victory over the San Antonio Brahmas in Week 1.
And one was
Actually,
this
well,
week, actually, I believe.
I actually did forget to mention that in the Roughnecks Sea Dragons game, the Roughnecks were
Oh
down
yeah, it
by
was
two
that game.
possessions,
Hmm.
scored a touchdown, went for the fourth and 15, got it. Silvers then uh, nearly tried to play hero,
Oh, that's
but
how
he
the
kind of got
pick happened. Yeah, I forgot
his
about that.
yeah, his arm got hit. I should have said that. I'm so sorry. Yeah.
You're
So
good.
the pick wasn't really anything like super like it wasn't like really like it was like a bad read or like in the middle of the game or anything. It was on like a final play. His arm got hit. A ball landed right into the defender's hands. Thought I forgot to mention that, so I thought I'd
Into
mention that now.
the
But yeah, that
D
was one of the
lineman's
conversions.
hands. Yeah.
Really, really, what this is about? It's about the what's it called? Um, what am I saying? This is really about like the onside kick like recovery chances and like
Yeah.
get teams getting back in games. So we're gonna talk about. I'm gonna get into this part of the article here. Before the NFL changed its kickoff formation in 2018, the historic rate of recovery onside kicks was about 12%. It has been 9% since this, with significant variations per year. In 2022, for instance, it was 3.5. The XFL's kickoff formation also would make it difficult to recover an onside kick. So yeah, so they're basically saying the way with the 5 yards of separation thing and whatever,
Yeah.
it makes onside kicks weird. So you can actually still go for an onside kick in the XFL. It just makes
I
it
know.
hard. So they're
Yeah.
definitely incentivizing the fourth and 15, which they could just get rid of the onside kick. But
They
I
could.
guess I doubt anybody ever goes for it ever. But maybe we'll see it one time. I don't know.
Exactly. I think I
Weird.
heard some like rule where you can only do fourth and 15 if you're trailing and the game is like close to ending. But like, why would anybody attempt it otherwise? You know?
All right, it's just weird.
And
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. So we're gonna do this. NFL teams have been proposing similar ideas since the 2018 formation change, and the league even experimented with it in the 2020 Pro Bowl, but has never gained any support amongst owners, many of whom consider it gimmicky or not within the spirit of the game. Uh, I I get it, right? Like if you have a big lead the entire game, but I think it's kind of bullcrap.
So
Spirit of the game, my ass. I think it's about
yeah,
entertainment, right? I
and
guess I could see why it's gimmicky, but like, and I get it's like the game's been around for 100 years, and suddenly we're going to add this
yeah.
game-changing thing that can change. I don't know, but like the NBA, once they had it, like the NBA was they considered some people considered the 3-point shot gimmicky, but now it's like part of the
Just
game,
yeah.
right? Like, and I think that's what would be cool is like the NFL has this, and it's like it's just part of the like it just became part of the game, and like comebacks or just like not like I guess I don't want to make it sound like comebacks would happen all the time, but like no comebacks would like that would be the thing. Like, oh, you freaking came back, you converted that fourth and 15. That is sick. That is cool to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
You want to, but if you do want to hear about the support amongst teams, NFL teams, the Philadelphia Eagles haven't given up. They proposed a rule this year that would require teams to gain 20 yards from their 20-yard line, and perhaps seeing it in action in the spring leagues, the USFL uses a 4th and 12 rule from the 33-yard line. Could normalize it for you NFL owners. So I guess they're kind of letting the XFL and USFL be like the guinea pigs for this scenario.
Yeah.
What are you feeling on this?
So I would agree with the Eagles here that there does need to be a higher yardage, especially in the NFL, to make it less of a chance of happening. Because in the NFL, some teams just have design plays that can go for 15 yards, you know? And
Right.
I think this idea of this definitely lost some support in that Patrick Mahomes 13 seconds moment, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, just the way the game's built nowadays, right? Like, this rule definitely favors more teams than others. I'm sure a team like the Eagles would love if it's 4th and 1 and they can run their little Jalen Hurts
Yeah.
quarterback push play, but that's not going to happen. So
I
I
would
don't know.
say
It definitely favors more teams than others.
that if this rule comes into play, that teams should have to go through some kind of mini thing and get 20 yards at minimum, 20 yards. And then maybe if they get those 20 yards, they still have to start 1st and 10 from the 25, no matter. Because I think
They bring the ball back basically.
exactly. Because I think
Okay.
just getting the ball at the 40-yard line going in, and I guess that's kind of what an onside kick does for you if you somehow get it.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, it kind of, you already get that anyway from the onside kick, but the onside kick's already so astronomically hard to pick up anyway. So I don't know.
Exactly. So I think this would be more of an incentive. Like, you still get the ball, but it's farther back. I don't know. I think it would just be something owners would look at more of as something to have a solution to this rather, because I don't think they're going to go for 4th and 15. Oh, if a team gets 30 yards, they start at the other team's 20, or maybe not 20, but like 40, you know? Like, I don't know.
Right. Yeah, well, that's it's an interesting conversation. I do like what the Eagles said, where they said they proposed a rule this year that required teams to gain 20 yards from their 20-yard line.
Yeah,
So
I like
so
that.
you start at the 20, and if you got to get 20 yards, so you get it like around the 40, which is around a little farther back from where you get the onside kick.
Yeah, that seems
'Cause
definitely
you
something more
like actually like that.
NFL-ish,
Yeah,
at least.
yeah, like 20. Yeah, okay, I like that. I like that. I like the Eagles scenario or
Yeah,
the rule change. I like that. That's cool.
but then how would it come
Um,
into play? Because nobody's getting a touchdown off an onside kick, or at least that would be very rare, you know? So how would it work
oh, they scored a touchdown
if
on the
they
onside
scored a
kick.
touchdown on the 4th and 20, right? Or
So you're
something like
thinking of
that.
it like its own separate play.
Yeah,
Because that's what you were saying earlier. Is like you were like, oh, they get at the 20, but then they get the 20 yards, but then they start back at the 20, like its own. It's like a 2 point
exactly.
conversion, right?
That's
Where it
what
kind of
I'm
lives in
going
its own
for.
separate universe,
Yeah,
right? No, this is like the XFL where it's like it's free play. Like basically this is basically just starting play again.
yeah, I get that, and the like if you score a touchdown on that, that's
It counts. It would
cool,
count. Yeah.
but it's like, oh, you just got a free play, and you just got two
Yeah, but
touchdowns in a
like,
row
are we
on
trying to
two back-to-back
listen?
plays. Like,
Right, but are we trying to make it as close to the onside kick as possible, or are we trying to make it its own thing? Because I don't really care to try and like keep it I don't really care for like the spirit of the game bullshit or whatever that they were talking about.
yeah, that
Like to
doesn't
me, I
make
don't care.
sense
I
to
don't
me.
give a crap about like the spirit of the onside kick. The onside kick sucks, to be honest with you.
Oh, I
It
agree
sucks.
100%, but I just don't think
It's
you can give teams the chance to get a one-play touchdown after they just scored once.
But
You
if you're
know?
gonna give up 80 yards on one play, then like all you have to like 4th and 20. So a team is like 99% of the time is probably gonna throw it. Like the
Oh
back's
yeah,
up against the wall, and if you can't stop that, like you know what's coming, and you still can't stop it. I don't know what to tell you. You probably deserve to be scored on. I'm
that's
just
fair.
saying.
But then like, oh, the if this, let's just say it's in the fourth quarter, right? Your defense is tired. Like they
Mhm.
just give up something like that, and they've been playing stellar the whole game, but like that one play, you know. So I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I get that. I think that's like kind of a spirit of the game thing, like right. I think that's what they're talking about, where it's like
Yeah.
it's kind of like, oh, we were holding on to this game the entire time, and then all of a sudden we lost it like last second because of this stupid rule. It's like I don't know, but to me, I don't really care for that. But I understand where you're coming from now that you talk about it more. Spirit of the game makes it sound stupid. I think you explained it a lot better,
Yeah,
where
no,
it
I
feels
don't
like you've
understand
really
spirit of
held
the
on to
game.
the game the entire time. Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's like, hey, if you're gonna give that up, that's your problem. But like, I can see where you're coming from, where that could get frustrating.
Yeah, I don't know. Because it just seems like then we'd come into this whole stuff again, and yeah.
Right, I can see that. Okay, yeah, there's sides to both. There's sides to both of these. I'm glad that we're kind of debating these and we don't not exactly like agreeing on all these.
Yeah.
All right, multiple options after touchdown. So this is your extra points. XFL rule: teams can choose to go for a 1 point from the two, 2 points from the five, or 3 points from the 10. NFL rule: teams can line up to kick for 1 point from the 15-yard line, or go for 2 points from the 2 yard line. Um, what's it called? Yeah, well, we'll talk about this right now because I want to just talk about it. XFL teams are using the 2 point option 59% of the time, using the others when late game math requires it.
Yeah.
A 9 point differential, for instance, is a one-score game if the team trailing scores a touchdown succeeds in a 3 point attempt. I'm gonna talk about this as well. What's it called? Oh, they kind of talk about overtime rules as well, which wasn't actually in this art, which I didn't really see as like one of the like
Yeah.
headlines on the article, but I was going to talk about it anyway. But what do you think about this? I like some of this. Like a lot of this, I like a lot of these rules. I like some of it, but
Yeah.
like there's like the one part that like kills it for me. Or I'm like, maybe we should change that part.
The fact that they're
What is it?
phasing
What is
out
it for you?
kicking pretty much, I hate
Now
in
I'm going
that
to talk about
sense.
it. Yeah, I was going to talk about that, but you want to talk about it? You go for it. Talk about
Yeah,
it.
I don't like that they're phasing out kicking, but then if you go into this and you say you're going for 1 point, right? But then you want to
Mhm.
fake the field goal, how does that play into getting 2 points or only getting one, you know? Because you have to
Right.
say you're going for,
Oh, that's true.
like, that wouldn't really work anymore, and you would just have to declare you're going for two or three instead of just, you can go for one, but if you fake the kick, you can get
Well,
two. Like, I kind
oh,
of
like
like
if you
that
fake
idea.
the extra point, kind of like so. Let's say so you're basically saying like get rid of the 1 point conversion from the 2 yard line, kind of, and instead have like an extra point like normally.
Yeah, I like the extra point normally.
Yeah, I do as well. But the and then you're saying basically if like they were to fake the kick or like let's say a snap were to go wrong and like there's just a the holder has to throw it up and somehow like the guy the blocker
Yeah,
catches it and they score. What does that count as basically?
exactly. Because if you have the one, two,
I didn't think
and
about that.
three, it's kind of
Right.
weird to put up the one and then fake it. And then does that become a 2 point conversion or is that a 3 point conversion? And then
Depends
what
where
does
you're
it
kicking
count
it.
for?
I forget where's the NFL's extra point line. I always forget.
15? No, not 50. That seems too close. I don't know.
Extra point distance. I forget where it's at. 33 yards, but it's at the so what would that be? It's taken from the 15-yard line, but the 33-yard kick when the math's done.
So 15,
So
they
because you
go
added
8 yards
seven,
back, then the 10 from the end zone.
so what is it? So
So
it
the
would be
snap
no.
is
So it's
8.
basically
You snap the ball to the holder. The holder is 8 yards back at the 23,
well, I found so basically
and then that would calculate to
the snap
33.
is the ball is being snapped from the 15. That's where the line of scrimmage is
Exactly.
basically.
And the holder will be at the 23, and then
I
the
find we're just making it two at that point.
like the kick is 2.
No, no, the if you like, but I forgot there's three. There's a 3 points.
Yeah.
That's what's weird about it. Because you can't make. I don't. I feel like it's weird to make it as much as the extra point, right?
Exactly.
So I only think it can be one. Three makes it feels like it's too much.
Yeah.
Because I want to keep this 3 point conversion rule in this scenario because I think it keeps teams in games and that's fun.
Mhm.
And you could say, "Oh, spirit of the game, my ass." I don't give a shit. The 2 point conversion was that, and look how much more
No, I'm a
possibilities are
fan of
there
the
with
2 point
open with that.
conversion.
Right, right. I was just saying for the some of the spirit of the game people, not you, because you explained your side of the argument well, but it's like, oh, blah blah blah. But like
Yeah.
That's interesting. I don't know. That's a weird one. That little scenario, I wasn't thinking about that, but I was gonna say that I feel the XFL. One thing that I don't like that they've done is the one thing that I think these rule changes have hurt is the kicking game. If we want
100%.
to talk about the kickoffs, obviously we don't have touchbacks now, so or we do have touchbacks, but it's up to 35,
It's
so it
very
feels like
rare.
you'd be it's you don't really want to do a touchback anymore because you would do a touchback because you respect the returner a lot. But to
Exactly.
the 35, that's already like a good return in the NFL. So it feels like at that point, it's not worth just giving the guy that space
Yeah.
or
You
the
definitely
that much
can't.
respect. So you can't do that. Punts now, if a punt hits out of bounds, like all these kicks are like pooch kicks. We don't even like having a punt down at the 1 yard line is pretty freaking awesome
Oh
in the
yeah.
punting
I
world.
love seeing
And
that.
they don't even have that anymore because these punters have to pooch it because God forbid it falls in the end zone. It comes all the way to your own
No,
45.
see, I hate that. That rule is
Yeah.
so dumb. I can't believe that was even
It's
approved.
trying to incentivize returns again. But again, it feels like that we gotta like we can incentivize returns without making the touchback like the God forbid like worst thing ever.
Exactly.
Because it's tarnishing the punting game a lot. And then the kickoff game as well, where we were talking about, where it feels like the touchback is way too much.
Yeah, because even in the NFL, even if punters kick it in the end zone, they don't get as much as a kickoff. It's only to the 20, right? So they even kind of, it's better there.
Right.
And yeah, I don't know. I just hate that they made it, you gain, what, 60 yards or something if it goes out? Like, what? That
Yeah,
doesn't even
that's a
make sense.
lot.
Your offense hasn't done jack, and yet you just gained 40 something
Yeah,
yards,
off a kicking mistake, which I know
which
kicking
shouldn't
mistakes,
even be considered a mistake.
right? Because it's in football most of the time it's not a mistake, but in this specific league it is a problem. Um, when I've told people, and then also we have no extra point anymore. But when I've told people that about the XFL versus the USFL, because I watched a ton
Hmm.
of USFL last year, and they asked me, I had some people in my journalism class because I'm writing a thing for my school paper about what's it called, just like the why you should watch the XFL,
Yeah.
and they're asking me like, oh, what do you prefer, blah blah blah, and I was saying I prefer the USFL, and that's only because I prefer the traditional kicking game a lot more.
Yeah, and if you're gonna
Um,
get into spirit of the game in quotations,
that's
this would
true.
be
That's very
something
true.
where it's been taken away.
Yeah, well, the kicking game's definitely been tarnished. The kicking game's been almost taken away, and I guess maybe the XFL is trying to brand itself as real men don't like kicking, but I enjoy the kicking game a lot.
I do
So
too.
I
I
think
mean,
it's a
punters
part of
are
the
people
game. So
too.
punters are people too, my friend, and not in this league though, I guess. So
No, they're not. And I've
there
seen
is
good punts. There are good punters in this league, but they seem like they are holding back a little because they don't want to kick it out of bounds. They don't want to kick it out the back, you know?
right.
It
Yeah, it's definitely
just
hard for them to show their leg off if they can't
exactly.
even. It's definitely not a punter friendly league. I think any punters or kickers are would definitely. I know maybe otherwise, other like positions, and like we've seen obviously a bunch of former USFL players go to the XFL this year. But I
Hmm.
think punters, if I was a punter or kicker, I'd want to stay in the USFL just the way the rules work.
Yeah,
I think it'd show off talent a lot more.
exactly. Because
Um,
no punter is gonna get into the NFL by being in the XFL.
right. So what's it called? I do want to. We did touch on this conversion thing. I do like most of it, but it's just it would be that one little scenario with like you were to fake an extra point or something. Maybe they would just consider that a dead play. Like if there was a you can't snap it. Like let's say the guy fumbled the snap or whatever, and you can't get the kickoff.
Yeah,
It's just like a dead play.
I don't
You
know.
could do that too. I don't know. Other than that little paradox, which I think that would be solved because I'm sure there's some much smarter football people who would be able to figure that out.
There probably is.
Um,
I mean, you could
there
probably just
probably
keep it
is
the same and just add a 3 point, but
from the 10 and just make that like word two or whatever,
yeah, and then just keep the
a 3 point conversion.
PATs the same, exact
Right. Yeah.
same, and you keep the
Yeah.
two
You
and
could
the
move the
three, and
PATs up too. I don't know. Yeah. I'm fine with that. There is one thing I do want to talk about it's the XFL's overtime rules, which are very similar to the USFL.
yeah,
And we what's it called? the Mr. Seifert here, he does talk about overtime rules, but he doesn't really talk about he doesn't give it its own like heading and section, which if obviously I'm linking this article in the show notes so you'll be able to read it. But yeah, so you guys will it's kind of a little section here. I'm going to read it out. It's under the multiple options after touchdowns thing. It's that the options seem to have reduced the likelihood of overtime. There hasn't been a single overtime game in 10 total weeks of XFL play, including the 2020 season, as teams are less likely to be tied with three tiers of post score options. So basically, they're saying, right,
Yeah.
since there's more opportunities for things to go haywire, it kind of makes it hard for the score to be tied at the end. But that has made it impossible to judge the XFL's overtime rules, which call for 3 alternating scoring attempts from the opponent's 5-yard line. But generally speaking, wouldn't most fans prefer to avoid overtime? I don't care about that. Okay. So he does touch about how we haven't been able to judge the XFL's overtime rules, but we have been able to judge the USFL. Last year, the Michigan Panthers and the New Orleans Breakers met in a overtime game last year in the USFL, and basically what Seifert here, what Mr. Seifert was describing here, which sometimes is a little hard to explain, but I like to explain it as, you know, like a penalty shootout in soccer where you get like 5 opportunities for each one. Bump that down to 3 and make it a 2-point conversion shootout from the 2-yard line. That's what the USFL was last year. Obviously, the XFL's 2-point conversions are from the 5-yard line, so I'm sure that's where they put theirs. But for the USFL, it was a standard 2-point conversion shootout, and it was really fun. It was really intense. Every stop was huge. Getting in the end zone was huge. It was awesome. I thought it was like really great, like 10 minutes or so of TV. To be honest with you, I was really enjoying it. I was at the edge of my seat. So it says obviously, it made it impossible to judge the XFL's overtime rules, but we've kind of seen a glimpse of what that looks like. Just back that 3 yards up, and that's basically the same experience. I liked it a lot. John, what do you think about a 2-point conversion shootout?
Well, I didn't watch that USFL game. I kind of barely watched it at all last year, actually, but I'm gonna get into it more this year. Anyway, yeah, just not having seen it, I can't really judge it with my just in general. But it sounds fun and it sounds like a good idea, but I don't see how this would get implemented in the NFL. I'll say that.
Right. Okay. I guess that's what it's about at the end of the day, right? Yeah, I don't see this being in the NFL. NFL overtime has its own quirks and whatever.
Yeah, I mean that's still being debated right now.
That's still being debated. We're not going to talk about that on here because it's not what this is about. I guess if we want me to answer the prompt, yeah, I wouldn't probably have this in the NFL. I like just overtime's fine. But for these leagues, it's fun. I think it's cool. I like it a lot.
I think it's good for these leagues to differentiate a little bit from the NFL, just because otherwise you're not really going to have a reason to watch if they're not different at all, right? Unless you're just a big football fan, which we are, and that's why we watch, but, you know.
Right. Yeah. All right. Yeah, okay. We got a couple more here. We spent a lot of time on a couple of them, so I just we'll just speed through these last couple ones here. Not too much. One of them is speeding up the game, which I think is funny. XFL rule 35-second play clock. Speakers allowed in the helmets of all offensive skill players, which I really like, and a 10-minute halftime. NFL rule 40-second play clock. Speaker allowed only in the helmet of the quarterback on offense, and obviously you have defensive captains with the little green sticker on their helmet. That can be anybody. And a 12-minute halftime. And the clock also runs on incomplete passes and going out of bounds.
Incomplete passes and out of bounds plays, right? Yeah, prior to 2 minutes at least.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of interesting. XFL games in 2020 averaged 250. I'm guessing that's 2 hours and 50 minutes. But Dean Blandino, the rules analyst for the XFL,
I saw some stat that said this year it was 2 hours 42, I think, something like that. So a bit less.
It was like 8 minutes faster. So it's not like soon. He basically just said Dean Blandino, who's the head. He's actually not the head rules analyst now. He's the head of like replay official, which I think is awesome. Yeah. So the 2023 version did not have a specific time goal other than trimming downtime whenever possible. So it's just trying to make the game faster. I'm fine with this. What's it called? This is Blandino. Here's a quote from him. Wait, hang on. Actually, let me read this beforehand. The risk of speeding up games is getting less. Football in the XFL this season is averaging 8.5 fewer plays per game than the NFL did in 2022. But that drop isn't big enough or to deter the larger goal. We feel like the flow of the game has been good, and the number of plays has been good. Blandino said, "We don't feel like that we've lost 20 to 30 plays because we've gone to this play clock, so we think it's been positive so far." I'm fine with this. I mean, I don't. Yeah, like I don't think it would change the game in the NFL. I really like the speakers and all helmets of
Yeah,
in
I like that
all
rule.
offensive skill players. That's cool a lot. I like that.
Definitely, I
Um,
like that.
what do you think about the whole speeding up the game thing?
Um,
Because I never thought football was too slow. Like I know
no, I've
baseball, they
never
talked about
thought
trying to
that
speed up the
either.
game.
I will
I
say
know that.
that I've just watching the XFL, the 35-second play clock seems like it's 5 seconds too little because I've seen so many delay of games here and there. And yeah, it's getting
That's
less as
true.
the weeks go on, but there's still like some there, and teams are being forced to use their timeouts just to get out of that. I think the 40-second play clock is good, and I think probably the only thing the NFL should take from this is the helmets or the speakers in all helmets.
Yeah, I like that. I think a lot of these are like bits and pieces. Like we like bits and pieces of
Yeah,
these things. I like the 40-second thing too, like you said. I think that was good analysis by you. I also miss these are mistake driven leagues, those USFL and XFL. So it's hard
exactly.
make it a less margin of error.
But yeah,
Um,
I don't know. I've
it
even
definitely
seen
doesn't
NFL
help.
teams struggle with the 40-second play clock, so I don't know how they'd even work with the 35.
Yeah,
So
I would 35 is feels a
maybe
little
that
too much for me.
maybe the speaker in all helmets does speed play calling up a little bit, but
Mhm.
still I don't see. Also, why don't the O linemen get it as well? Like
I don't know.
I don't see why they
Offensive
couldn't
skill
get it
players.
either. Like
I don't know. I guess they could. That could be something that we talk about too. See, I mean, yeah, I mean, these rules could definitely evolve for sure.
I
I think it's
get
interesting just to see how
like
they're doing it.
as a premise, I get why skill players have it. You got to have the routes and everything. But
Hmm.
once you get into NFL play calling, you got all the blocking schemes,
Blocking
blocking
schemes,
formations,
right?
slant left, slant right, and I think it would benefit them to have this kind of system in their helmets too.
Right. All right. Here's another one here. This could be one we can argue about. Replay review of penalties in the XFL rule. Coaches can issue one challenge per game of any officiating decision, including penalties. NFL rule. Coaches can issue two challenges per game, and a third if they get the first two correct. But the list of reviewable plays does not include penalties. Not really
Yeah.
any statistics on this one. It's a couple quotes from Dean Blandino. Maybe we'll hit him at the end. How about that? Just to kind of end
Okay.
it. But what do you think on these? I know we talked about some of this before the show. What are you thinking about some of this stuff, the
I
penalty
don't
stuff too?
mind the fact that you can challenge. I think so. This happened in the Roughnecks game where Wade Phillips challenged a play where no penalty was called to get a penalty called. I don't think that should be allowed, but I think the teams should be allowed to just challenge uh, like any penalty, just any penalty in general instead of just being limited to kind of stuff that they are limited
Like,
to.
so you don't want them to call. You don't want them to be able to go back and call a no call, basically.
Yeah. Or
Okay.
see, I don't know, cuz
I don't because that doesn't seem to matter to me. Like I don't care. Like if the official got it wrong to me, like he got it wrong, and either way, whether he called it or not, I would want the correct call to be made. So I'm fine with either a call being made when
yeah.
there was no call or removing a call where there was a bad call. Either
So
one.
in
I don't
my
care.
eyes, if I would say in a like I would have that rules analyst like Dean Blandino, I would have him analyzing the games, right? And then
Mhm.
he would be able to pick out those no calls and stuff like that, and the coaches could just challenge the flags that come out of that, or just flags in general.
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
really want to take away from like. I think the refs have a lot of power as it is, just in general. I'm not, and I guess the challenge is that gives them less. I guess, but I don't know.
Yeah, I guess the closest thing we've gotten to this in the NFL was challenging pass interference when it came to penalties because you can't challenge penalties.
Yeah.
We did get it for a year. I'd love to get the statistics on it. John, can you look that up really quick? I think that would have been the NFL's 100th season, I believe. So that would have been 2019 to 2020. Just look up like the pass interference like ratio, like how many were challenged, because I'm pretty sure that's pretty public information.
Yeah.
But just gonna preface this with saying I'm a Rams fan, die hard. Uh, and obviously, after the Rams Saints no call, whatever, the Saints had that rule. It got approved. I thought it was stupid because why is that the one penalty? I get it's like the biggest, it can be the biggest penalty, like depending on how long the pass is. But it just seems dumb that that's the one penalty that suddenly can be challenged or and talked about or whatever, right? That just seemed dumb to me. It felt like it was just a waste of everybody's time. It felt like it was just like a really like salty thing
Yeah.
that was implemented, and it got removed for 1 year. John, do you have the statistics on?
So in that season, pass interference calls were challenged 81 times. 13 of those were successful, giving you a 16% success rate.
Nice, nice. Well,
Um,
if anything, that says it all. I'd probably say. I mean, what is
yeah,
that? 13 for 81. What are you shooting on that? What's your shooting percentage on that? 13 for 81.
16%.
16. That's actually better than I thought.
So, I mean,
Yeah, I don't know. Felt like it was a waste of everybody's time to me.
I don't mind being able to challenge flags, especially if they're blatant. Like, you can clearly see that it wasn't a flag or it was a flag. So I guess I am saying that you can challenge a no call,
Hmm.
but I don't think it should be something that has nothing to do with the play. So in the Houston game, Wade Phillips challenged a lineman or a D line. He challenged that a D lineman face masked his lineman, but that
Right.
had nothing to do with the actual play. So
Right, but sometimes that does happen where there's penalties that don't have anything to do with the play, and
yeah, that's
that's just a
true.
part of the
Like
game.
some holding calls and stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I mean,
guess.
this is what I would say here. Obviously Dean Blandino. I'm not gonna. This would be like if I was doing a research paper. This would be the quote I'd take. We're basically re-officiating the play. Blandino says it's not a standard where it has to be above and beyond. If I'm looking at that play and I say we should have thrown a flag there, then that's the standard. It is or it isn't. It's not a higher standard than what the rule says. Is this something we want called or not? That's the standard. You think of the NFL in 2019, which we talked about. It felt as at least early in the season that the standard was so unrealistically high that that's not where we're at. So he's basically saying that like the standard was so unrealistically high for like trying to overturn those pass
Yeah.
interference calls that there just were none called. But they're basically just looking at this as like a fresh re-officiating the play every time. So that's cool.
I don't know. I
I'm,
definitely
I'm,
want the NFL to implement somebody like Dean to just be in the booth reviewing these things. And I see the side of the NFL is able to pay a lot more refs so they see a lot more of the field than the XFL does. And the reason the
right.
XFL needs this guy in the booth is because they can't see everything like all the refs can
That's
in
true.
the NFL.
Yeah, and that the amount of cameras they have everywhere is amazing. So
Exactly. So, but I do think because there are so many cameras in the NFL, it would benefit to have this guy in the booth. And they do bring in like Gene Stewart, or is it Gene? I think, right?
Um,
Or is he the
for
basketball
yeah,
guy? I don't know.
no, it depends on what broadcast
Yeah, I don't know.
you're
I've
on.
been
If you're on
watching March
CBS,
Madness, so
he's
they bring in Gene
yeah.
Stewart
Oh yeah,
too.
so yeah, Gene, yeah, yeah. What's it called? Mike Pereira and Dean Blandino are both
Yeah,
Fox,
Mike
but
Pereira, that guy.
ESPN and or yeah, Mike Pereira for Fox. Yeah, he does the USFL. He's actually the USFL head replay official.
Yeah,
He has the
okay.
same job as Dean, but for the USFL.
Yeah, so I like that that's there, and I think even if the rate of calls or anything doesn't go up or down, I think it would benefit just to have these guys. And they do have them come in, but just for like little segments. I think if they're in the booth, they can give some more transparency onto why this call was called like this or why this call was called like that. Because they really only bring these guys in for the big plays and not the little plays that have big effects or like the little calls that have bigger effects, you know?
Mm. All right, yeah, I like that. Last one on here is broadcast. It says broadcast transparency. That's not really a rule. It's just something that the XFL does do, and ESPN they let them do.
Yeah.
And the XFL television broadcast routinely tap into the microphones of referees to hear their deliberations. Okay, I guess that part of it, yeah. They also air Blandino's replay reviews, and in some cases, return to Blandino to further explain a call, which I think is cool. I really like that transparency. I also like the mics on the players and everything, like
Yeah, I guess this
mid-game. I
is
think that's
kind of
really
what I was
cool.
talking about just now.
Yeah.
I like this,
And
and I think it should be
yeah.
implemented.
In the NFL, referees use their microphones to announce penalties and yardage mark-offs. The league also maintains an open line with the networks on air, officiating analysts to clue them in on replay decisions in real time or close it or close to it. Really, the closest thing we'll get to like a response to an official after the game would be from the NFL's officiating account on Twitter
Yeah.
or for like a public statement they release after the game. But I mean, we love all this. This is what makes the XFL the XFL. We can't get rid of it, right, John?
No, you can't get rid of this, and I think it should be implemented in the NFL because we're seeing
Agreed.
so much uproar against refs in general through just this last season of football, and I'm seeing a lot of uproar against refs in the NBA and March Madness as well. That I just think there needs to be a lot more transparency because I've seen refs in the NBA and in March Madness just giving out texts like they're just nothing. I don't know. There definitely needs to be more just more there among why a call is made.
Yeah, I agree with you. 100%, dude. All right. That was that segment. I will link that article in the show notes. That is from our great man. What was his name? Excuse me. Let me get back to the article here. Kevin Seifert. He seems to be our guy. Look for him on ESPN. Seems to cover XFL stuff. So appreciate that, Mr. Kevin. Hopefully we'll be back next week for another article. Maybe something different if we can find something different. Speaking of March Madness, I just want to touch on it really quick because I don't want to make it my off the wall because I have a different topic for that. Unless you were going to talk about March Madness. Are you going to talk about March Madness for yours?
No, I wasn't.
Cool. I was just going to say, like, damn, like we're already like we're on to like the freaking what is it, the Elite Eight now?
Yeah, honestly, I was surprised how
Unbelievable.
quick it goes. I mean, I know I've kind of experienced it in the past, and I've just liked watching it, but I find it hard to remember how quick it goes. I forgot they go through like 2 rounds in one weekend.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I actually these past 2 days we went through like we literally just went through like and obviously it was only a couple games, so like it went by really quick. No more number one seeds as we stand on Saturday morning at 1 in my time, Friday night for you.
Houston
but
and
dang,
Alabama knocked out.
Yeah. The run for Princeton ends.
Yeah.
San Diego State plays Creighton. Miami plays Texas. UConn plays Gonzaga, and FAU, number 9 seed.
9 seed.
Plays Kansas State. Wow. Damn, that's crazy. No one seed. When was the last time that happened?
I forgot. I remember they
feels like there's at least one
stat, but I can't remember.
It feels like there's always at least one. I just thought I'd touch on that. I wanted to do that earlier in the show, and I didn't, so I just thought I'd do it now.
Yeah.
All right. Finally, back to the X's and O's. Let's go to the Vegas View for this weekend, huh? Yeah. So last week was honestly kind of I guess I finished above 500, so I can't be mad. But it felt like when I was watching, it felt like it was kind of a stinker by both of us.
Yeah.
When it came to our picks. I went 7-5.
By me.
More of a sticker by you, which is why I barely got the win going, barely over 500.
Yeah.
I was 7-5. You were 4-8. Right now, I'm at 15-9 on the season. You're at 12-12. Since you lost last week, I got to choose your profile picture.
Yeah.
It felt only right to do Ben DiNucci. I like that one of him smiling. It's too good, dude. It's too good. All right. Let me get the lines up here. So let's look at this next week. Oh, can you give us a preview for the games this week?
I'll run through the games. So Saturday, so today, because it'll come out on Saturday.
It'll be coming out on Saturday morning.
Quick, we got a doubleheader here. Seattle Sea Dragons in Orlando to take on the Guardians at 11:12 Eastern time. Or no, sorry, 12:01 Eastern time. Then we got later that day we got Battlehawks in Vegas to take on the Vipers at 6-7 Eastern time. And then we go over to Sunday where we have back-to-back week matchup of the Brahmas and Renegades. This time they're in Arlington, and that's on Sunday at 2-3 Eastern Time. And finally, to round out Week 6, we hit a quick stop in D.C., where the Roughnecks are coming in to face the Defenders for a nice Monday Night Football, which we have not gotten in a good few months. And this will be starting at 6-7 Eastern Time.
Love it, man. Two things. One, what do we think about the back-to-back Brahmas Renegades thing? Do we like this whole back-to-back thing? I guess we'll figure it out after this game. But
Yeah.
how do we think about it going into the second game?
If I just had to look at it with face value, I'd say I'm not too much of a fan of it. Purely because I don't really know why. It just doesn't seem right to have two teams play each other in back-to-back weeks. I don't know. Just something weird about that to me.
Feels like a very pivotal stretch. Like, let's say like a key player was out or whatever, like a quarterback got hurt or something in the stretch, and like that they didn't get to play in either of those matchups, and these matchups are like really defining for both these teams we've talked about before. That could be a big deal. And then also, second thing, Monday Night Football. What you excited? You excited for Monday Night Football again?
Oh, 100%. How could you not be?
I mean, hey, if Mondays didn't have football, what would Mondays really be? To be honest with you,
shit.
I've kind of my Mondays have been shit since Monday Night Football has been over. All right, let's get into these games, man.
Let's go.
So it felt like Vegas for the not last week, but the 2 weeks before had kind of gotten like a hold on this league. It really felt like they kind of knew who was favored. They the over-unders were kind of going up and up, like into like the low 40s, like where it needed to be, because it seemed like every team was averaging around like 20 points a game.
Exactly.
I think that was like a pretty good game. That was like a high-scoring game in this league. But last week that got flipped on its head. Seattle beating Houston, and they had the Brahmas favored against Arlington, which again neither of us understood. We both called that upset in the air. Excited about that.
And then we said that Vegas has been favoring the home team, right?
Yeah, we said it seems like home field advantage was a big deal.
Unless you're
looking
Vegas.
At the slate, we're split this week. I guess it seems like we have two road teams favored, two home teams favored. But other than last week, I feel like Vegas was kind of getting like a held on this league. What do you think, John? Like it just took them a minute to kind of see how everything was working out. Not like the Vipers, but the actual.
Yeah, no, I know.
Actual Vegas,
the betting gurus.
The betting community, yeah.
Yeah, I think just getting a hang of it. I think a lot of these players they've been in the NFL, or at least a lot of them have just like the bare minimum experience of the NFL, just being in training camps. So nobody's really seen them play, and I think a lot of speculation in the first weeks was based around coaching and maybe those players that have had starting NFL experience. But now that teams are starting to get their feet under them and just get their identities together, Vegas is starting to sniff out those top dogs and the lower ones.
Yeah, it definitely feels like halfway through the season we've gotten our teams figured out. I know last week, obviously, Vegas had a little bit of a stumble. They missed on two of them, but
they did.
The 2 weeks before that, when we were trying to call upsets, they were definitely they were perfect. All the favorites won those 2 weeks, that 2 week stretch. Looking at it, I guess I don't want to spoil my pick, so we'll just hop right into it. Let's go into 12:00 noon. Well, for me, Central Time. Anyway, on Saturday afternoon game.
Yeah.
Kind of midday game. Sea Dragons going to Orlando to take on the Guardians. Sea Dragons favored by 8.5 in this game. The over-unders at 42.5. So we got hottest team in the XFL right now, possibly, other than the Defenders. I know the Defenders are 5-0, and that's like the easy answer. But maybe one of the hottest teams in the XFL versus the least hot. I mean, what are we thinking on this one?
So different sportsbooks have different values, I think. So just mention which one you're using.
Oh, that's true. All right, I'm on BetMGM right now at the moment.
All right.
I did forget to mention that, and lines do move a bit.
Exactly.
I saw a couple of the lines this past weekend. By the time they showed up on the bottom of the
Yeah,
broadcast, moved like a half a point or so.
I did
So
see that as
I
well.
should mention that lines do tend to fluctuate, but we're doing this pretty close to kickoff time, so hopefully they don't move too much.
Exactly. Alrighty, so Seattle's favored by what? 8.5, you said?
8.5, yeah. Over unders at 42.5.
Yeah, I would take Seattle money line. Take them to win this game.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I'm gonna take them to cover the spread too.
Yeah.
Just Orlando's defense hasn't proven to stop absolutely anybody, and their
Yeah.
offense not has been the worst, pretty much the worst in the league. Or I don't even
Mm-hmm.
know if I would say the worst. They've been bottom tier offense,
I'd say hit or
and
miss is the word.
yeah,
Lately, they've been able to hit on a big play here or there, but other than that, it's kind of been.
exactly.
Mm.
Uh, but yeah, I don't think Orlando's offense can keep or can outplay the pretty good defense that Seattle has going on over there. And let's see. I'm going to take the over here.
Yeah, I think you pretty basically said it all. I mean, Seattle. I mean, if their offense, I know they've had games where like they've been driving down the field really well, but like then they turn the ball over in the red zone, or at least Danucci has, and that's kind of capped their point total as of late. Like they could have easily scored like 30
Oh,
something on
yeah.
the Roughnecks last week the way they were
100%.
playing. If Danucci didn't throw those two picks in the end zone, it could have been way different. So yeah, I'm gonna take the Sea Dragons money line. I mean, it's kind of hard to pick against them right now. I'm gonna
Especially
take the
when they're
spread as
playing the
well.
worst team in the league.
Right. This is the biggest spread of the week, by the way, 8.5. But I'll take them to cover that, I think. And yeah, I'll take the over. I think the Guardians will get plays here and there. I think that they're gonna get their big plays they've been known to get these past couple of weeks. I don't see that going away.
Yeah.
And we'll see if our boy Quentin starts. We will see.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Saturday, next game, it's going to be St. Louis, the Battlehawks, traveling to play the Vegas Vipers.
Yep.
Vegas off their first win of the season. I'm going to start this one off. You know
Go
what?
for
So
it.
Battlehawks favored by 3 here. Over-unders at 44.5. So they're favored on the road by 3. Um, yeah, I'm going to take the Battlehawks to win this one. And at 3, yeah, I'll probably take them at 3. Feels like three's like it's such a like a small line at that point
Mm-hmm.
that I'll probably just take the Battlehawks to cover that. But that one could go like I can see Vegas keeping it a game, which I think they always seem to do.
Yeah.
But I don't know. 3 is just it's such a tight line. It's hard to take the underdog in that situation without just taking them to win outright. So I'm just gonna take the Battlehawks to cover that. And over under 44.5. God, that's high.
That is
That
high.
might be one of the highest we've seen all. No, it's not the highest we've seen all year, but I know that Houston Seattle one was the highest we've seen all year, and that flopped. But yeah, I don't know. I think both these defenses haven't really shown me anything, so I'm gonna take the over in this one. I usually see
Alrighty.
this one being like a back and forth one where like both it's like, hey, you score, you score, you score.
That's true.
But these offenses feel like they're getting going at the right time here, so
Yeah.
that's what I'm gonna say.
We'll see what happens with Vegas because I know they didn't have Martavis Bryant last week.
Wow, and they put up 35, huh? Wow,
Exactly. So
impressive.
we shall see. I am also going to take the St. Louis money line here, but I could see Vegas keeping it close the whole way and maybe pull something out in the fourth quarter. Having that being said, I will be taking the St. Louis spread though, just because 3 points. I feel like if St. Louis wins, they're gonna win by more than 3. So
Yeah, three's really tight, man. Three's just a
exactly,
really tight spread, I think.
I don't think there's been what 2-3 games out of the 20 that have been 3 point or under probably.
Well, like we were saying, like in the article, it's like it's hard to tie in this league because it's like
That too,
the
yeah,
points things are really hard. So it's hard to match the points. So the points get weird. So I'll take a -3 all day. I think
exactly.
at -110 odds for St.
But
Louis.
I am gonna take the under here.
Okay. What makes you take the under? You just feel like this is one where it's like, oh look both these offenses and the defenses suck, and then they just like flat out
Yeah.
just suck for no reason.
Even though both offenses are decent and the defenses aren't great, yeah, I don't know. Something's just the under's just speaking to me today. I don't know.
Okay. Okay, I like that. All right, get ready for round two because now we're
Oh
going into
yeah.
Sunday. We got the Brahmas and the Renegades. Renegades at home this time in Arlington.
Yep.
They're favored by 3. Over under. Oh my goodness, this is ugly. 32 and a half. Woo!
Yeah.
God, that is stinky.
That went
What
down
do you?
from the 36 they were last week too.
Yeah, it was at like 36 and a half last week or 36, I think. Yeah.
That's
What do we
crazy.
think on this one, dude? This is a weird one.
This is just
I mean, it's hard to
see.
like. It's not like you can look at like the NFL. Like like last week, I got to look at the how Thursday night football affects players in the NFL,
Yeah.
right? Like the short week, and that's why I took the under in that St. Louis in that Seattle Houston game. But like, it's like there's no such thing as like a back to back in football.
Exactly.
That's what's so weird about this. It's weird. Like there's not like any tropes that are like follow or like to look at or
Yeah.
trends. It's weird.
You
We're in
would
new
hope
territory
both
here.
teams make some adjustments from what they saw last week. And they've had a whole week to prepare those adjustments as well. So if those don't happen, something's wrong.
Yeah.
See, this game is just like a crapshoot to me. Like I could see either team winning, just because the other team just can't get it off, can't keep their drive going on a third down or something like that. So, but
Yeah.
I think Arlington, I'm going to do the classic. Arlington takes the win, just like last week. Arlington money line. I'm also going to. Do I take. See, they didn't. See, if this was the
They
spread
didn't
last
cover it.
week.
They wouldn't have covered it. But God, 2 is such a weird one. Like, is it going to be 2 again? That's what I'm saying. Like, is it going to happen again, or like how different is this game going to be from the first?
I'm
That's
going to
what I'm
say
thinking
it
about.
doesn't happen again. I'm going to say Arlington's offense gains some more legs under them, and hopefully they start walking instead of crawling here. Uh,
Yeah.
so I'm going to take them to cover the spread as well.
Nice. Yeah,
And
I oh,
33, 32 and a half,
oh
whatever.
yeah, I forgot.
That
Yeah,
seems way
32
too
and a half.
low to me. Like,
Yeah, but it's like it
but
wouldn't have hit
again, they only
last week
scored
either.
22 last week.
That's what's that. Yeah, I know. That's
I'm
like
just
the
hoping
difference.
these offenses get on their horse and start moving, so I'm going to take the over here.
Yeah, I talked about it earlier in the show, and we kind of talked about this a little bit in our power rankings. It's just kind of like I don't know. I guess a back to back in football just never happens. It's just
Yeah.
so weird. It's such a weird scenario. I'm actually going to be really interested to watch this game. What's our? Oh, I guess our game of the week's coming up next. I was going to say maybe we crown this one game of the week, low key. I always like to give one game the game of the week crown, but I think that's
Yeah.
going to go to the Monday Night Football. Um, those Renegades, God, yeah. I mean, I'm going to take Arlington to win the game, and I'm going to take them for the spread. 3 is just really tight.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they cover that, like I'm not gonna be mad at myself. Like that's just tight. Like
Exactly.
I can see the Brahmas can play a tight game and lose by 4, right? But
That
they can
happened
also
week one.
play a tight game and lose by right, exactly. Over under 32 and a half. Uh God, yeah, it feels so low to me, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And it's not like I know like what's gonna happen, like because of back to back again doesn't happen. Like usually there's time in between like 2 divisional games in the NFL. So teams like change a lot compared, but like there's literally no change.
Exactly.
Uh,
Well, I guess the
I remember
Brahmas
whenever,
did pick up that quarterback, right? But like, what's the chances that he
yeah,
comes in
Kurt
one
Benkert.
week?
I don't think Benkert's gonna play. There's no way. He only has a couple
Also, that
days. No
news.
way.
Okay, the news hasn't been great, but that news was announced one day ago. Saying that is the exact day the trade happened. There's no way he's coming in on like 2-3 days of practice. You know,
Yeah, there's no way.
he's
Yeah,
not pulling a
there's
Baker
no.
Mayfield.
I don't think that affects us at all. I remember last week I think I was perfect on my St. Louis DC. Or no, I wasn't on that, but I was right on the over under where I was just like, hey, history tends to repeat itself. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna say. Hey, in football, things are weird. I mean, Brett Favre went to the Jets after playing with the Packers. It looks like Aaron Rodgers is about to. So I'm gonna say history repeats itself again. I'm gonna go under here, 32 and a half. God, that feels weird to put an under on, but
Alrighty.
that's the world we live in. Let's go to game of the week
Let's
now.
go to Monday
Roughnecks
night.
defenders. Bum 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 bum. we're not gonna hear the song, but I'll be playing it
Mellow
before
made
the
it
game.
right.
We gotta put that in the podcast. That'd be funny. Anyway, defenders favored by 2.5 at home. That raucous crowd. Over unders at 42. What do we feel on this one?
42. See, this is definitely the game of the week because this is one where I could definitely see going either way here.
Right.
Because these are the two best teams in the league. Well, hopefully Houston's not falling off, or else I'll look like a fool.
Yes, I think I will too, though. Not just you.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I'm gonna take a chance. I'm gonna call the upset here.
Ooh, okay. I like it. I like it.
I'm gonna take Houston money line, which also means I'm gonna take them to cover the spread.
2.5, yeah.
And
At that point, you just take the value, yeah.
I will be saying over here.
Yeah, for me, it comes down to God, the defenders. It's just until someone stops that run attack, I don't know, man. I think that crowd is just so good. I tried to back the crowd last week with the Battlehawks, that didn't work, but
Yeah.
the defenders crowd's pretty damn good too. So I'm gonna take defenders money line. I'm also gonna take the spread. I just think you probably could take the spread actually if you're betting on DC. You might just want to take the spread at 2.5. That's probably good value there.
You got to. No way they're gonna win by
The
just
odds
2
of the odds
points,
of Houston, the odds of that happening are very slim if you ask me. Over under 42. That's an interesting one. Houston's struggles last week kind of scare me.
They didn't have John
like,
Trey Kirkland though last week.
That's true. That's true. Even when the Roughnecks have had all that rest to like kind of get a game plan together and just rest. Yeah, I'll say over. You convinced me. Not really, but you kind of did. We'll just say you did.
Alrighty.
All right, that's our picks for the week. Well, I'm gonna go game by game here. So for the Seattle Sea Dragons Orlando Guardians game, I had the Sea Dragons spread at -8.5. I had over the 42.5 total points, and then that also means I had the Sea Dragons money line.
And I had the
John, what do you have on
same.
this one? Same one. All right, perfect.
Yeah.
St. Louis Battlehawks visiting the Vegas Vipers. I have the St. Louis winning the game, which also means, and I also have them covering the -3 spread. And then I have this going over 44.5 total points.
Yeah, so I got St. Louis money line. I also think St. Louis will win by 3 or more points, right?
More than 3.
Yeah. But I don't think it will be that high scoring, so I'm going under 44.5.
Yeah, I guess it would be more than they'd have to win by more than 3 because if it hits at 3, then it just basically nullifies and they give you your money back.
Yeah.
All right. Brahmas Renegades in Arlington, round 2. I got the Renegades to cover the -3 point spread. I'm also going to take that money line too. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go under 32.5. I'm going to say history repeats itself. Football's weird like that.
Alrighty. Yeah, I think we have the same one here as well.
Are you also under?
Oh, no, I was over. My bad.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah, so I got Arlington money line. Arlington covers the spread as well. And then I think they're going to have a bit more offensive production. Both sides of both teams here. I hope, at least. And it will go over 32.5.
The first modern back-to-back in pro football history. We're excited for it. And then Monday Night Football, Houston Roughnecks, DC Defenders. I got the Defenders to cover the -2.5 point spread, which also means I got them winning the game. Take that money line, and I'm gonna have it go over the 42 point spread total points.
Yeah, I'm also taking the over here, but I'm calling the upset. Hopefully, Vegas does not screw me over like it did the Vegas one, but we don't talk about that. So Houston money line, and that means they will cover the spread. So Houston plus 2.5.
Right. All right. Well, usually that is our show. That's usually the Vegas view. But now we're going to be talking about. Well, I guess I'll just start with this. Usually at the top of the show, I'll say, "Welcome to Team 9 in XFL and USFL podcast." But we have not touched on the USFL yet. Their season starts in April on Easter weekend, which is always, I remember last year was awesome. I had some family coming through and we just turned it on and it was just awesome to see it on. But yeah,
Nothing beats family in football.
nothing beats family in football. But the USFL, ever since the Birmingham Stallions, the team that hosted most of the league last year in
Yeah.
Birmingham, ever since they held the trophy up last year, we've had a ton of changes. All the way from new a team changing their colors to a team straight up relocating. So we have a lot to talk about here. I'm gonna start it off. The Pittsburgh Maulers. Speaking of the colors, yeah, they went from that weird purple and orange color scheme that they used to have all the way back in the original USFL. They went to black and yellow. Uh, Straight Pittsburgh. John, I know you're a Steelers fan. How do you feel about this? How do you like the switch?
I always love me some black and gold, but I hope they don't bring the black and gold down. I hope they go better than 1-9. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, the helmet looks really cool. I think they haven't revealed the jerseys yet. Same with the Memphis Showboats. They've shown their helmets. So this was actually, I know a lot of people, they kind of swept this under the rug, but they didn't really talk about it a lot on like Fox Sports' official branding, which I thought was kind of a mistake by them. But the Tampa Bay Bandits, they will not be existing this season. This season they will be known as the Memphis Showboats. All players and coaches have been transferred. Basically, the team is relocated. It's basically an effective relocation. The Memphis Showboats were one of the original USFL teams when the league was prominent back in the 80s. And they will actually be hosting games. We actually have multiple hub cities this year. So we have Birmingham, which will host New Orleans and the Birmingham Stallions. So the Breakers and Stallions will be in Birmingham. Memphis will now be hosting the Showboats, which will be pretty cool, and the Houston Gamblers.
Yes,
All the
sir.
way up in Canton, Ohio, Tom Benson Memorial Hall of Fame Field
Yeah.
Stadium, right next to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. They'll be hosting those Pittsburgh Maulers and the New Jersey Generals. And
Hmm.
then up in Detroit, um, we have our first NFL stadium being a part of the USFL family, which would be pretty cool.
Ford
Ford
Field.
Field. Ford Field will be hosting the Michigan Panthers and the Philadelphia Stars. So obviously the USFL coming in with a little less funding, kind of like going into that first season, but it seemed like they just wanted to get in front of the XFL.
Yeah.
The first season was really entertaining. If you ask me, I watched most of the games, not all close to all of them. Super entertaining. I thought it was really fun. It'll be awesome to have more home fans this year. So I'm
Oh
really
yeah.
interested to see that.
Also,
One thing.
they released
Oh, what was that?
prices for
Sorry.
all these. Just I don't know.
List price for the tickets?
Yeah, just for all. Yeah.
Oh, nice, cool. That's good stuff. Yeah, they also released the schedule, so the schedule's out.
Yep.
So if anybody is in any of those cities and wants to check out a couple games or a game,
I think
please look through.
Michigan, Ford Field, that might be some crazy home advantage because we know they love their
That would be
football up
cool.
there.
I would just love like again, like if I was living in Seattle or like Detroit, dude, I would just love to go to those stadiums just to know like obviously the
Exactly.
NFL teams host
Yeah.
there, but like just to be in those atmospheres is really cool. So yeah, we're going to talk about a little bit of USFL. Training camp has started up this past week.
Yeah.
We're just going to go through some of these players. There's an article on the USFL.com and on Fox Sports called USFL 2023 key players to know as training camps get underway. A lot of players headlining this. A lot of returning players. Let's get into the Birmingham Stallions here. The champions, I should say, the reigning champions. They have Jamar Smith coming back, who was their quarterback who led them for most of the way. But they have Alex McGaw, who actually led them to the championship in the end. I know the whole narrative there is McGaw started coming into the season, got hurt in the first game. Jamar Smith led that comeback in the first game against the Generals on Easter Eve, you might say. He then started for the rest of the way. Got hurt in the championship game. McGaw had to come in and actually lead the Stallions to that championship. Pretty awesome story there. Scooby Wright, fan favorite. He's back. for the Stallions. I know they love him there. And Bo Scarborough, I believe he was a mid-season pickup. He was really, God, he was awesome down the stretch last year. Hard-nosed runner, former Detroit Lion in the NFL.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. Let's go the Houston Gamblers. Not really anything crazy. Mark Thompson's back. He was really cool. He was a really great running back for them last year. Um, I'm looking at all the newcomers here. I don't know a lot of the newcomers that they have spotlighted in this article, so I'm just looking at some of the names that I remember from last year. Brady White, quarterback for Memphis Showboats, but now they're the Tampa Bay Bandits. Oh, running back Alex Collins. He's on the Memphis Showboats. He was a what's it called? He was a Raven for a while. I remember, right?
Uh, I don't
Baltimore Raven
know
running back.
actually.
Really? Oh, he was he was a Ravens running back for a while, so that's cool. So the Showboats have him. Reggie Corbin of the Michigan Panthers, he's back. He was really good last year. He was fun to watch. Carson Strong. Oh my God, why do I remember that name? He's a newcomer for the Panthers. Why do I remember Carson Strong? I'm looking at him. What was Carson Strong's deal? Oh, he was a quarterback, Eagles. Huh. He was on the Eagles for a minute. Okay, he was like a backup.
Just sounds like
Cool.
Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh shit, Carson Strong. So that's cool. Who else do we got? Returners know for the New Jersey Generals. Darius Victor, he was an absolute machine last year. Um, God, I want to say he was like one of the leading. Yeah, led the league in rushing touchdowns. He had 9 and was the thunder to running back Trey Williams' Lightning for a Generals team that built an identity around its ability to rush. Yeah, that team was fun to watch. Speaking of rushing, their rushing quarterback DeAndre Johnson is back in town. For the Breakers, my Breakers, yes, I'm a Breakers fan. Johnny Dixon, wide receiver, he was awesome in the slot. Jay Adams, that guy's a highlight reel. Awesome to have him back. Greg Eisworth, he made a couple plays last year I thought were really good, so that'd be cool to have them back. 2 new quarterbacks in town: Aquil Glass from Alabama A&M, and McLeod Bethel Thompson from Sacramento State.
We'll
Okay.
see how that goes.
Pittsburgh Maulers, returners to know Bailey Gaither. He was amazing last year. He was so fun to watch for the Maulers. I know they only won 1 game, but he was awesome. Newcomers to watch: James Morgan. Ooh, why do I remember James Morgan? Trying to remember who all these people are. James Morgan from Florida International. Looking it up. Quarterback.
He went undrafted.
He was born in Green Bay. Wow.
Yeah.
Drafted by the New York Jets in 2020. 4th round. Nice. Cool. Yeah, that's where I remember that name from. The Philadelphia Stars. Case Cookus. This team made it to the championship game last summer. I know they lost, but Cookus was the starting quarterback for them. He wasn't the what's it called? He wasn't the number 1 on the depth chart going into last year, but he was in the back half of the season, and he was awesome, super fun to watch. Matt Colburn's also back for them, and Channing Stribling as well on defense at cornerback. Newcomer to watch. This is awesome. Corey Coleman, dude. 2016 first-round pick by the Cleveland Browns. He was fun to watch in the NFL, so it'll be cool to see him there. But I guess let me tell this story. It's because last year there was a certain man by the name of Kevontae Turpin who won USFL MVP last year. Explosive receiver, great kick returner. He actually had a punt return. Yeah, punt returner, kickoff returner. He actually had a punt or kickoff. I forgot, but he had a huge special teams touchdown in like a playoff game in the USFL. Amazing player. And let's just say that we were that in the preseason he might have had a 2-touchdown game in the NFL. He got invited to be a part of the Cowboys for their training camp in preseason.
Oh yeah.
And he scored 2 touchdowns in a game. In that game, 2 kickoff returns, punt returns. It was punt returns, I remember. Mm-hmm. And we were there. We were in attendance for that. It was the Cowboys and the Chargers. I was in town. We all went to the game, me, Felix, and John. So that was a pretty cool memory of mine. But that just shows you that this USFL can kind of bring life to these players. Their NFL dreams. And same with the XFL. John, you got anything to say?
No, I think you covered it all.
Man, I'm passionate about the USFL. I thought it was really cool last year, so I'm I had a lot to say there. I was just going through the article. I'll link the article in the show notes. You guys can look through it, read through all the nitty gritty stuff. I kind of read a little bit of it. Um, all right, so that's our show when it comes to football. This is off the wall now. This is our segment where
Yeah.
we are all allowed to bring a one topic to the table and talk about it. So, John, how about we talk about yours?
Alrighty. Well, I was starting and I was gonna be talk about Cam Newton, but
Oh, yeah, Cam.
I don't know. I'm gonna save that for later. I'm just gonna take this back to the XFL. Actually, the
Okay, I like
Vegas
it.
stadium does not seem to have a locker room for the away team.
What? No.
I was watching, and okay, I might have just seen this out of like context or whatever, but I was watching the game, Orlando Vegas, and at halftime, it looked like Orlando's team was just in some hallway. So
Huh.
that might have just been before they came out of the tunnel. I might have seen that wrong, but I don't think I did. I think they were just in the hallway, and the coach was just giving them a speech. So I don't know.
That's weird. Okay, so I'm looking at some of the details on this field. So it's in North Las Vegas Boulevard, Las Vegas, Nevada. Capacity is 9,300 or 334. Their record attendance is 15,000. I don't even know that's possible. I guess they somehow shrunk the field. I
I
wonder
think
when it
they
was
did because they
built.
did a bunch of. I was watching that what's it called, that series they have on ESPN Plus.
Oh, player 54.
Yeah, they were talking about what they did to the stadium, and they did a lot of changes. It looked like just to get this to be a
Just to
football
get it
thing.
operational,
Yeah,
really?
like they had
Damn.
to
Yeah.
add a whole like jumbotron and shit.
Yeah, like it was weird. Okay, so it says it built in 1947 at the same property as the modern stadium. Okay, that was the original. Okay, that was when the original was built, and they must have rebuilt it at some point. But I remember like watching the I want to say it was like the DC Defenders Vegas Vipers game in like week 2, and they had like some weird like thing like set up. It almost reminded me of like obviously as a Rams fan, I talked about that a little bit earlier. But whenever the Rams were gonna play the Bengals in the Super Bowl, and we had like that pre Super Bowl pep rally or whatever during like the Super Bowl
Mm-hmm.
wind up, like getting ready for the game or whatever, and media week or whatever. We had like this whole little like stage and everything where like we like they saw a couple of the players said some words and the coaches said some words and stuff. I just thought that was like that's what it reminded me of. It was just like that little jumbotron thing they had up like reminded me of that, like the little stage area. It was just I don't know. I got some weird like festival vibe from it. It was kind of funny. Yeah, that's weird. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's a weird
I
scenario.
could have saw that wrong, but that's just what it looked like.
It did, I mean, it's definitely not what's it called a football field.
It's a
Like they
baseball
definitely
field.
stretched it. It's a baseball field. Seems
So
like they've played some soccer there too. From what I'm looking
on the
at.
chance that I saw wrong, why would you be giving a speech in the hallway?
Yeah, it seems a little weird. You think you'd do that in the locker room, then let the guys walk out?
I know, like they're all standing up too. There's nowhere for them to sit. Like they're just like let the guys rest. They just played a
Mm,
half.
that's facts, dude. They only get 10 minutes this time too, bro. They don't even get that 12 minute half.
Exactly.
You want to talk any Cam Newton, or were you
Uh,
saving that for a diff down the line? You were saying?
I don't know if I'll talk about that down the line, so I'll touch upon it. He threw at Auburn's pro day. For those that don't know,
I knew he was gonna throw at Auburn's pro day. I guess I'll talk about where I've been the past 2 days in a minute.
he
So
ended up
keep
throwing
going.
there.
How do you look?
And yeah, I saw a good throw and I saw a horrible throw.
Mm,
um,
sounds like Cam.
I don't really know how that's gonna end up for him. At best, I don't think he'll get a starting position. He's just getting old.
I don't even know
Uh,
if he's gonna be on a team.
yeah, I don't know. At best, he'll get a backup position. I could see him going to like maybe mentor Justin Fields a little bit because he's kind of like that running
Oh,
quarterback and stuff.
ooh, I like that. I like that idea. That's cool.
Or
Okay.
yeah, I don't really know what else could. I don't know. At best, he could probably go to the Commanders. I'll say that.
Yeah, I heard a bunch of Commanders, which makes sense because Ron Rivera and Cam.
Exactly.
That would make sense. It's just kind of weird. He was like, "Oh, there ain't 32
Yeah, I
mother
know. I
effers
saw
better than
that.
me" in his video. That was like I thought that's what you're going to touch up on a little bit, but yeah, Cam, I think
I
there
guess.
is, man. It's
Yeah.
like we talked about being a quarterback in the NFL is already hard enough, and then being like in the elite category is a different conversation. But being even one of those 32 is pretty damn tough, dude. I
Exactly.
mean, would Cam? I know we're an XFL and USFL based show, but so like, would he ever consider coming down to
Um,
the XFL USFL, or is that just not? Is his ego too big for that, or is it even worth it for him? Like, what's the deal?
there are very few people like AJ McCarron who will take oh my god, a crazy pay cut to play and start. So even if Cam Newton ends up as a backup, he's still going to be making millions of dollars. I don't see how
That's
he goes
true.
to the XFL unless he just wants to get something on tape.
But for me, what I would say is like Cam Newton isn't even a backup. AJ McCarron has been a backup for the past couple of years. Like
No,
he
I know.
was a backup going. He was going to be a backup going into this next football
Yeah.
season. Cam Newton hasn't been on a roster in since like last year or 2 years ago when the Panthers signed him for some stupid reason. Like
And he
he
said he
hasn't been
was
a
back
backup.
when he scored one touchdown.
Yeah, and then I forgot what his touchdown interception ratio was, but for the rest of the way, it was
Wasn't
not very good.
great.
It wasn't great. All I'm saying is Cam doesn't even have the luxury of saying, "Oh yeah, I'm a backup. Let me just earn all this backup money," because he hasn't been a backup for the past year or two, and I don't know why any team would think that he's ready to do that.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
sure
know.
the XFL or USFL would love to have him because he's such a big name and everyone would be so
Oh, I'm
interested. But
sure. And that would increase viewership and all that
I
too.
think that's the only way he gets on a roster. To be honest with you,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know
I
why
could
he would
definitely
be on
see
a roster in
something
the
taking a
In the
chance on
NFL.
him. Like the Commanders, I could see them taking a chance on him. And I
Yeah, I
mean,
just think they would have done it already. Maybe I
that's
don't know.
true. This could be outlandish. If Lamar goes somewhere else, Baltimore could be somewhere he goes.
That'd be wild. Yeah.
Because I
I don't know if the Lamar thing. I don't know what the Lamar thing now. It's just
I'm so disappointed in the league about the Lamar thing.
and the Rodgers thing is just they're both taking forever. I just wish it would hurry up already.
At least
Just
Lamar's
what's
not
gonna
exactly
happen?
his doing. I mean, yeah, he's looking for a contract, but he deserves that contract. Rogers already has a contract, and
Right.
he's trying to control everything about his future, which I don't know.
Right. I don't know the player empowerment, whatever. I guess
Exactly.
it's
And I
sometimes it
saw the
gets a little out of
Jets
hand.
just turn down a deal that the Packers said because there was too much money involved. So
Yeah, like they're trying to get they want to hold on to their picks, or like their like number I think the 12 overall pick they have this year in the draft, but then they also want to like they also don't want to pay like a bunch of Rodgers' salary. Like they want the Packers to pick it up. It's like you can't have your cake and eat it too. Like you got to kind of pick
exactly,
one
you
from
got
the
to
Jets.
give up
And
something.
like what is their? It's just weird because the Jets are like they're. You think they would have like negotiated this already, like when they were talking about
Exactly, right?
like with the Packers and Rodgers at the combine, but like for some reason they're not willing to budge when like this is like the only thing they have. Like let's say
Yeah.
somehow this Rodgers deal hypothetically does not go through. What do the Jets have?
Another thing
Nothing.
that I felt was bad by the Jets, they traded Elijah Moore
I did
to the
see that. Yeah,
Browns. Like,
second round pick.
and Elijah Moore plus a third round pick for a second round pick. They got fleeced. But they could have used Elijah Moore to trade for Rodgers if they knew they weren't going to keep him anyways, right? So, like, what are we doing here?
I think they probably maybe the Packers didn't care for Elijah Moore, so that maybe they were just like, hey, if we get a second round pick, like maybe we can use that as ammunition to
They should have cared because
go
Elijah
get
Moore is
Rodgers.
good. He just hasn't had that receiver coach
Yeah,
around.
he could never really seem to get like he was always arguing with Mike LaFleur, who's the offensive coordinator for the Jets,
Yeah.
or he was the offensive coordinator for the Jets. So like he just could never like seem to like really get in, like acumen with the coaching staff that he was mad at them last year because he wasn't
I
involved.
know.
So I don't know.
I
Maybe
hope he gets
he just didn't
involved
care.
with the Browns a bit, but
He should because like they have Cooper and that's it, right? Amari Cooper and that really feels like it's it. Njoku, sure, is like a red zone
Njoku,
threat, but like Well, like they don't really have like a slot guy, and I
Well,
think that's what Moore could do.
it's
The Jets kept putting Moore outside a lot these past 2 years, like on the outside, but it's like the guy could be a really good slot receiver.
exactly. I don't.
He's
Yeah.
built like at like 5'11". I mean, the guy could definitely
I
fly.
don't know. Anyways,
Yeah.
that's enough of that.
All right. Well, there you go. Cashman Field, Cam Newton, the Jets, Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson, Elijah Moore. That's
A lot
John's
in one second.
wild. Hey, you know what? It wasn't that bad. I think it flowed pretty all right. My off the wall is where I've been the past 2 days. This podcast is coming to you late because I've been at a little thing my school does called senior retreat, where we go to this camp in the middle of nowhere, and it's God, it's pretty. It was pretty awesome. Honestly, it was like we had like a group therapy session with it, like where we kept like coming back to it, and we started to open up, and then we got like letters from our family members that they wrote to us,
Oh,
and we got to open up. I was like, I was bawling my eyes out. I was crying because it was just like, I don't know. It was just like really cool to just see like, I don't know, my family cares about me. I guess it's like,
Yeah.
it's interesting because so the whole point of like the thing we did like a pact for the retreat
Mm-hmm.
that said like, oh, you're not allowed to like talk to like any alumni about it, or not alumni, like underclassmen, just so they don't know. But I doubt anybody is listening to this right now, so I think we're okay.
We have the
But
exact same thing over here.
really, you guys do
It's
too?
Quite,
Yeah,
quite literally the exact same thing.
it was pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, I got to talk to a couple of people who I wouldn't usually talk to, so that was cool. Some of them we get to open up. It was it was cool. It was cool. But one part of it is that I didn't have my phone for 2 days basically, so I was in the dark. I got in the car with my mom. She picked me up, and I went to go turn on the radio, and I was listening to this Jets reporter talk about the Aaron Rodgers thing and Elijah Moore as well. But he didn't mention like who Elijah Moore got traded to. So I was like, wait, what? Like I was so confused. And then I also didn't know what happened with the Thursday March Madness games. I just got back today, so I was kind of in the dark. I was talking to all the guys at the retreat. I'm like, dude, like the world's gonna like flip on its head when we get back. Like by the time we get back, like everything's gonna be different. But yeah, that was kind of cool. You guys have the same thing. Have you gone on it yet?
I have, yeah.
Really? How was it?
It was cool. It seems like
cool.
yours is more like, I don't know, middle of nowhere. It's like,
Well, I already live in the middle of nowhere, so then like,
no, I know.
so then it's like even more in the middle of nowhere now. So but it was cool. Like they definitely hype it up. Like it's definitely like, oh, senior retreat, and then it becomes like a thing, like, oh, like secret thingamabobber.
Yeah.
Like you're not supposed to tell people, and that's like what was cool about it, was like the surprise, like not knowing what was gonna happen. So it was cool. I don't know. I think it would have been cool. I thought it was funny. We were talking about it. Like I think it would have been healthy if like if I got in there with my friends, which I know is what they were trying not to do. But I think it would have been healthy just to get them to open up, because sometimes it takes a minute for them to kind of like, they don't even open up a lot anyway. It's like we're all like joking a lot of the time, or like just bullying the crap out of each other. So we just thought it would have been good. But I don't know. It was kind of interesting. It was fun. So that was cool. I just thought I'd mention that. Podcast may have seemed, some of our segments may have seemed a little like put together last second, and they kind of were.
Yeah.
But we're just glad that we got out to you guys this week.
Exactly.
God, the show went pretty long anyway, so I think we put enough in here. Absolutely no way. This is literally our least put together show, and it's the one that we have the most shit put in.
It's our longest by a long time.
All right, well, not too bad for two dudes just chopping it up. All right,
not too bad.
So that was this week's show. We hope you guys enjoyed. We got some great games this weekend. The Monday game is going to be fun.
Yeah.
John, what's your go-to snack for Monday Night Football? What are you going to snack on, bro?
I don't know. It kind of depends, honestly.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'm just eating dinner while watching it as well.
That's true. Yeah. All right, we're not going to take up any more of your time. Thank you for listening to the Team 9 podcast. All of our socials will be in the link in the description. Yep. YouTube, Twitter, Spotify, all there. I also have those articles that I list in the show notes, the one of the ESPN article, and then I also have the USFL article as well. So thank you guys for listening.
Yeah. Have a great rest of your day.